Shalom, Israel. Shalom, shalom. Brother Naquam, watchman for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts and another Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh. By Shema Mashiach Malaki Bashai, double honor to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach Malaki Bashai. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there in the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying, they're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down, moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. Slaki and everybody. And shalom to everybody tuning in live. Louis GB, Kyoko Banyamyan, Renee A, Yakar Salah, Shalom King, Divinely Fashioned, HBK Int, Brother Azariah, Shalom King, Richard Perez, Brother Believe, Tara Maya Banyasha Allah, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in on this Monday Night Fire, Death to False Doctrine, Volume 4. This is Volume 4 of Death to False Doctrine, where we through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shai, we dismantle lies and heresies that are being put out in the last days, rather it's done by Israel, or rather it's done by these nations, or rather it's done by whoever, man. Whatever spirit of deception is out there, it's our job to counter those spirits with the spirit of truth, to provide equity, right? A just balance and stability pursuant to the law of Leviticus chapter 19, 35 on down, right? Proverbs 11 and 1 on down. A false balance is an abomination unto the Most High. So as much as you have righteous prophets and righteous doctrine, you're also going to offset that with wicked prophets and wicked doctrine. So we have to reveal what is false doctrine so our people can have some type of whereabouts and know what these doctrines are, how to avoid them, how to dismantle them, and what the true understanding is through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. The main doctrine we're going to go through today through the spirit is hell, right? We're going to go through the ins and outs of hell. Is hell an actual place? Is there a subterranean hell? Is there a place under earth that's burning for eternity? Rather, it's now. Is there a place burning for eternity that will be opened up by Yahweh Shai in the day of the Lord? Right? Is that an abode for the wicked? Is there an eternal damnation? Do the souls of the wicked just burn forever? Do the sinners and the adulterers and the murderers, do they burn in this place that has been created? God knows when. There's no account of this place being created. Nevertheless, is there a place called hell where the wicked just burn forever? Right? And we're going to go through this through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah. But let's go first and foremost. Let's go to 1 Timothy chapter 4. Right? And you're going to find out first and foremost, there is no actual place called hell, right? There's no underground, subterranean, there's no extra realm, no other world that's going to, that contains eternal blazing fire where the wicked just burn forever, right? That goes back to the Greeks, right? Goes back to the Egyptians. All of these nations in every religion, they all believe in an eternity of hell, fire, and destruction. Right? 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 7. Right? It reads, but refuse profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. So the men of the Lord, you have to stick to the truth. Right? The Lord said, I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law, in Proverbs chapter 4 and verse 2. Right? So the good doctrine is your obedience to Yahweh Bashim Shai through faith. And you show your faith by your works, which is what? Keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments. It's simple, right? When you go outside of that and start dealing with old wives' fables and tall tales and folklore and extra biblical sources, right? And pseudepigrapher sources and sources that stem from the so-called white man and these other nations, and you try to integrate that with the Bible, you have corrupted the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? And now you are leading people in a way that is not good if you begin to teach that. That's an old wives' fable, that concept of hell. The Lord said you should discipline. The word exercise really goes into discipline, right? Because you had a spirit of asceticism that the Apostle Paul is addressing in 1 Timothy 4, right? You had a heavy spirit of asceticism, which was a heresy at the time of the early church, where men were being overly righteous, telling men that you can't eat foods, you can't eat meat, you can't marry women, right? All of those are old wives' fables, all right? And they were going through a plethora of different heresies that the Apostle Paul had to address, right? Actually, let's start up. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly, that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So when you start seeing people starting to teach about hell and things of Christianity and the Roman Catholic Church and Greek mythology, you're watching Bible prophecy. Bible prophecy is not just earthquakes and rumors of wars. Bible prophecy is not just uproars of the people and seditions and economic collapse and World War III. There are many prophecies that often play a role in Israel and in these nations. From within and without, prophecy is going to hit the four corners of the earth. This is a major prophecy right here. When you see people teaching these wild doctrines, like there's no regeneration, there's an actual place called hell, right? The epistles of Paul are invalid, or they have no authority, or people teaching that, the Israelites and the other nations are going to receive equal salvation, or that there's mermaids and, wild unknown creatures under the water, mermaids and damn Loch Ness monster. Not saying Leviathan, but people teaching there's mermaids and all types of stuff, man. This stuff is madness. I mean, when is it going to stop? But that is Bible prophecy being fulfilled. These are doctrines of devils and spirits that the Most High sent out there. So you can see his work unfold. Right? Verse 2. Speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. And there's no turning somebody back. Once they get seared by the Most High, there's nothing you can do with that person. You can't debate them. All right, you're not going to change their mind. You can't write them a letter. You can't give them a phone call, right? You can't pray for them, because once their conscience is seared, it's over. That's what the Most High said. Now, it's up to Yahweh Bashmi Mashai. Only he can unsear that conscience. But the Most High is telling us, like if you had a shirt or some pants, a nice garment or something, and you was ironing it for the feast day or the new moon or the Passover, and you burn a hole in it, there's nothing you can do about that burnt hole. You can't take it to the cleaners and give it to the Moabite man or whoever's behind the counter and say, okay, I need this done. I got to pick it up next Friday. And then they look at it and, maybe we could take this and patch it back up. You can't patch it back up. It's over. You can throw it away because it's good for nothing. So also is the man whose mind is seared with bugged out doctrines, right? This was going on during the time of the apostles. Verse 3, forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, which the Most High hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe and know the truth. And that was a doctrine. That's the same thing these Catholic priests teach, that these so-called fathers and cardinals and popes and bishops of the Roman Catholic Church have to remain abstinent, right? And they can't deal with a woman, but yet these men are popping little boys under the altar and in some underground tunnel. And they're saying that, and there's Israelites now saying you can't eat meat. Well, what scripture is that, man? And then it says that these things have been created by the Most High, right? If you believe and know the truth and know the law, you're going to be able to understand that everything goes back to the scriptures, man. When I say the scriptures, everything goes back to the law and the writings. And there's no scripture that says that a man can't eat meat or that you can't marry a woman, right? These are seducing spirits. There's no scripture. There's no account of a realm of hell being created. Last time I checked, this said in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. Where is the scripture where the Most High created the heavens and the earth and hell? Let's go to Genesis 1. And I'm going to go back to 1 Timothy, right? It's lucky. See, our spirit want me to go right back to 1 Timothy. I want to go to Genesis, the first chapter, right? This is the creation. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, right? Now where is hell at? Because the spirits of man dwell in the heavens. The spirits of man dwell on the earth. These are two locations for the spirits of man. Rather, man is up there in the spirit world upon his death, or man is waiting to come back on the earth in a regeneration, or rather, man dwells amongst the earth in the land of the living. Where is the third location, this mystery location with a question mark on it called hell that the Lord is going to open up in the day of the Lord? Where's that secret creation? Right? It's not there. The Most High never created an actual furnace of fire that burns under the earth. And we're going to cover that. Right? So this is death to false doctrine. And we're going to continue because Paul addressed false doctrine. You got brothers saying, well, why don't you just talk about, Abraham? Aren't we the children of Abraham? Why don't you talk about the flood and the rainbow? Because the rainbow's a covenant, right? Well, we do talk about things like that, man. But you have to, you have to have a well-balanced diet, right? And a well-balanced ministry. We would be doing Yahweh Basham Shai and our people a disservice if we didn't break down the lies that are being put out. Right? So the Apostle Paul did the same thing. The Apostle Paul called out men by name. He called out Hymenaeus. He called out Philetus, Hermogenes, right? He called out Alexander the coppersmith. He called out Demas. In 2 Timothy, the 4th chapter, he called out men by name. And he was a man of the Lord, man. Right? So Paul defended the doctrine. That's what he's doing right here. 1 Timothy chapter 4 and verse 4. For every creature of the Most High is good and nothing to be refused if it be received with thanksgiving. For it is sanctified by the word of the Most High and prayer. If thou put the brethren in remembrance of these things, who are the brethren? The Israelites. So Timothy was sent to the Israelites. Thou shalt be a good minister of Yahweh Shah Mashiach, nourished up in the words of faith and of good doctrine, whereunto thou hast attained. So what must you have if you have good doctrine? By default, you have to have bad doctrine. There's no in between. There's no I got quasi doctrine. Either you got good doctrine or you got bad doctrine. Right? Verse 7. But refuse, meaning stay away from profane and old wives' fables, and exercise thyself rather unto godliness. Right? So the exercise goes into what we said asceticism, which was a spirit that was heavy in the church. Right? That was a very strict, rigorous, burdensome spirit that Jews were putting on men at that time. Right? And a lot of that stuff was rooted in wickedness, man. Rooted in fables and lies. And if you don't do this, then this is going to happen. Right? Salaki, bear with me. Shalom. That's the spirit, because I expect that. Khan. You got to
Khan. Right, I want to dive in through the spirit. Shalom, Israel. All praise to the Most High. Lord willing, everybody reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, holding themselves right accountable, repenting, and doing all of the works of the Most High. Right, I want to dive to the mighty book, right, of 2 Timothy. Right, because there's a lot of fables, false doctrines, right, lies, and everything going on, right, that you got to be full aware what you're watching and or, who you're learning from. This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse number 3. It says, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. The sound doctrine is what the Lord gave you. Men are going to heap up teachers to themselves, right, and heap up lies to themselves over things that they want to hear. There are going to be many doctrines in the last days. It says, endure sound doctrine, but after their own lusts shall they heap to themselves teachers, having itchy ears. You have to watch yourself, making sure you don't have the spirit of an itchy ear. What the Lord means when it says an itchy ear, meaning you always want to hear something new. Like your ear is itching, meaning you craving to hear something new. right? The church, when you go to the book of Acts, right? Let me get this quick precept in the book of Acts, right? The 17th chapter. This is the book of Acts, chapter 17, right in verse 17, right? And it reads, it says, therefore disputed he in the synagogue with the Jews and with the devout person, and in the marketplace daily with them that met him. Certain philosophers and Epicureans and of the Stoic, right, encountered him. And some said, what will this babbler say? Others some, he seemeth to be setter forth a strange gods, because he preacheth unto them Yahweh and the resurrection. Right? So you had certain men, they were philosophers, Epicureans, Stoics. They encountered him, right? These men were philosophers. The spirit of these philosophers, as they met Paul, it says he seemed to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preacheth unto them Yahweh. I mean, these philosophers don't have the understanding of the truth. You're going to have many men that are philosophers, many men that come up with doctrines, right? These false teachers, they're going to think things and say things that are against the Most High. It says, and he took him and brought him into Areopagus, saying, may we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is. For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. That's the itchiness of certain men. But you have it on the right-hand side. Certain men didn't hear about Hamashiach wa Malak Yahushua. But then you have certain men that want to hear things to their ears on the left-hand side. I never heard of that. You said that that's threefold, that's fourfold. I never broke it down that way. Oh, let's hear this thing out. You start to get bewrayed and bewitched, right, by these men. It says, but thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know thereof what these things mean. Meaning we need to know what it is of the things that you're teaching and the things that you're saying. Right? So this is not anything new. You had a lot of men with false doctrines, ideologies, right, and things bewraying the simple in the ancient world, just like you're having today. That's why it's very pivotal and important, right, to know who you're learning from and the fruit thereof of what you're learning. Right? You got it, King. Or if not, I'm going to keep going. Let me get this quick precept. The mighty book of 2 Peter, right, chapter 2 and verse number 1. It says, but there were false prophets also among the people, even as there shall be false teachers among you. This is a prophecy. The Lord is letting you know through the apostle Peter that there are going to be false men sent in the last days, who privately shall bring in damnable heresies, even denying the Lord that brought them. A way you deny the Lord isn't just saying, I deny Yahweh. You deny the true doctrine he sent is denying the Lord. You could deny the Lord in many ways. It says, and bring upon themselves swift destruction, and many shall follow their pernicious ways, by reason of whom the way of truth be evil spoken thereof. So many men are going to be followers in the last days, but we got to follow Hamashiach wa Malak Yahushua, right? And the track record that he gave by the apostles, by the elders, and by the noblemen set forth, right? And this is an in-depth breakdown we're going to go into tonight, right? In case there's any confusion, because a lot of people that are new to the truth, they don't know who to watch. They're kind of not as experienced in this thing. And there are certain brothers they're brushing up on doctrines, because you may be learning something new. So as you continue to be in this truth, you're going to see more and more doctrines, more and more heresies, more and more lies. That's why you have to stay rooted in the understanding that the Lord gave you. You don't want to be meddling with many matters and be given to change. You got it, King.
And I want to go back to 2 Timothy 2, because that's right. I mean, the Apostle Paul gave Timothy sound counsel, right, through his experience that he had to deal with as he traveled throughout his various ministries. This is 2 Timothy chapter 2 and 15. Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. So in order to, avoid, not just avoid, defend doctrine, you have to study, right? If you're not studying, you're easily going to be overthrown. If all you do is just watch videos for entertainment and you have no purpose or no type of root, then you're going to be tossed with the wind to and fro, pursuant to Ephesians chapter 4 and 14. Right? So you have to make sure you're studying the scriptures and going through the precepts and committing yourself to that understanding. Don't commit yourself to one understanding and then go, well, okay, this sounds good. And now you're mixing in your garments, right? Verse 16, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And their word will eat as doth the canker, of whom is Hymenaeus and Philetus, who concerning the truth have erred, saying that the resurrection is past already, and overthrow the faith of some. So men were getting overthrown back then by these two men. Now, who set these men up? The Most High, right? You think these men were moving around and the Most High couldn't reach them? They were out of the Most High's reach. He's trying to get them and stop them, but they're just a little bit too fast, right? And the Most High sending angels, but they outrunning the angels. No, the Lord set these men up. Huh? Hey, the Lord said in Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 9 on down, if there be a prophet that's deceived among you, I, the Lord, have deceived that prophet, and I will destroy that prophet from among the mix of my people. Right? And a judgment of the prophet shall be even unto them that follow him, paraphrasing. So anybody that's following a lie, you were set up to follow that lie. Anybody that is lying, you were set up to lie. Hymenaeus and Philetus were set up to get men out the way. It was a lot of men believing in the Most High. It was too many. The Lord said, I got to raise up some evil right here. Here's Hymenaeus and Philetus. I'm going to give y'all some lies. Like he dished them out some lies, man. They perceived it, right? They couldn't fight against it, and they started teaching those lies. Then men fell out, and the Most High said, very well, right? Good job. Or an angel that was working on their minds. Now, I want to go into this word canker real quick in the Greek, right? Because false doctrine spreads like cancer. That's what this word canker is going into gangrene. Now, the word in the Greek is gangrena, right? Now, it reads, a gangrene, a disease by which any part of the body suffering from inflammation becomes so corrupted that unless a remedy be seasonably applied, the evil continually spreads, attacks other parts, and at last eats away the bones. That's how dangerous doctrine is, man. The Lord said a remedy must be seasonably applied. That's why every now and then we have to go into depth of false doctrine, right? You apply a remedy seasonably. Right now it's the season. It's Passover drawing now. You got a lot of spirits moving in the earth. We have to make sure that, we bring forth the light through the inspiration of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. Otherwise, it's going to continually spread and infiltrate, more and more souls, man. Right? And then it's going to eat away at the bones and spew and spit people out, man. Right? I got one more real quick. Let's go to Titus. Right? This is Titus chapter 1 and verse. This whole thing is good, but I'm gonna get straight to the point. Right? This Titus chapter 1 and verse 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision, which were the Jews, man. They were deceivers, whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses. You got whole houses not being in the truth, man. Whole houses and congregations and families just being led away in the error of wickedness, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake. Now, if you're teaching that there's an actual place called hell, the question is, well, why? Well, we know ultimately it's of the Most High, right? But the Most High said you had men back then that were teaching for filthy lucre's sake, teaching things which they ought not. One themselves, even a prophet of their own, said the Cretians are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. So when somebody going off in the faith, it's not something, well, okay, hey, Ariah, I know you're teaching that, Yahweh Shai, he had blonde hair and blue eyes. It's a crazy doctrine, King. Maybe you should just cut it out, right? Stop doing that. No, man. It ain't no stop doing it. If I'm going off, he going off, anybody going off, it's our job to correct one another, man. And sometimes that's sharply. Because that's the only way a brother gonna get it, man. Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. And hell is one of the greatest fables on the earth, right? But you got it, King.
Most definitely. And it's also judgments in the scriptures, as you go into it by listening to a false, prophet. But I want to get Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse number 10. All right, so all you men out there that just think it's entertainment, watching certain things, and it's nothing that's going to really happen, or whatever the case may be, by you just listening and I just want to see what they have to say. That's off. You have to be wise. This is what the Lord said. This is Ezekiel 14 and 10. And they shall bear the judgment of their iniquity. The punishment of the prophet shall be even as the punishment of him that seeketh unto him. Who seeks unto a prophet? When you get on the internet, you type in God knows what and God knows who, and you listen for hours. And listening for hours isn't blameless and innocent, because your mind is subconsciously soaking up the things that he or she is saying to you, man. Some people listen to women teach, right? Some people are listening to men that are not qualified in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to be teaching you anything. But yet you hearken and you listen, whether it be folly and entertainment, whether it be some new itchy thing that you've never heard that your ears seem to want to get more of, or a lack of understanding and discernment, who to watch and where to go. Right? But the Lord said, ye shall bear that iniquity and that punishment. Now, what's the punishment of a false prophet, man? To be burned with fire. Right? The Lord isn't going to save all of the false prophets. The false prophets are going to be destroyed in the day of the Lord. So what do you think is going to happen from the mouth of the mighty prophet Ezekiel to all of the men that's hearkening to him, man? Because you're already seduced. The Lord can't use you if you're seduced. It says this, that the house of Israel may go no more astray from me, neither be polluted anymore. So you're polluted in the eyes of God when you hearken to falsehood, when you hearken to Jewish fables, when you go into false books, when you dive into all of these things that the Lord did not wrought. It says, be polluted anymore with all their transgressions, but that they may be my people, and I will be their God, saith the Lord God. So don't have that innocent mindset moving forward in what you listen and what you hearken and what you believe, because you'll suffer that same judgment, right, as those men that were teaching. Right, I want to get one more. Right, in Deuteronomy chapter 13, right in verse number 6. Right, this is the mighty book of Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse number 6. It says, if thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or thy wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is thy Salaki, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly. Meaning the Lord getting real close. He's saying, even if your mother, your brother, right, that has your own mother, man, your closest brother and your closest kin to you, come to you, secretly trying to entice you, whispering in your ear, right? You go out for drinks or go out for dinner, right? Then they're talking about things they ought not, right? Just secretly just trying to get at you, man. They just keep saying things over and over, trying to confound you. It says, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods, which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers, namely the gods of the people which are round about you. And on a deeper level, a lot of these doctrines stem from the so-called white man. It stems from idols and folly and madness, and it's really serving other gods. If you're serving a doctrine that's made up of giants and men that are 1,000,000 feet tall and going into fables and all of these different things, you're subconsciously going into things that are not of the Lord, created by the image of the beast, right? Which is defiling your mind. So you are serving other gods. It says, round about you, nigh unto thee, or far from thee, from the one end of the earth, even unto the other end of the earth. Meaning all the way from India, right? Their doctrines all the way from China. It says, thou shalt not consent unto them, nor hearken unto him, neither shall thine eye pity him, neither shall thou spare, neither shall thou conceal him. And that's where Israel is very sensitive, right? Like the brother was going into, if somebody's going off, they're going off. Your eyes shouldn't pity him. We shouldn't have no problem condemning somebody and or correcting them according to the law. And the Lord said in the book of Sirach, the 42nd chapter, these things not to be ashamed. The law of the Most High. So you can't be ashamed of the law of the Most High. The law of the Most High is condemning all false doctrines and ideologies. You can't be ashamed of that. If you're ashamed of that, you're ashamed of the law. But let's get that real fast. It's Sirach chapter 42 and verse 1. Of these things be not thou ashamed, and accept no persons to sin thereby. Of the law of the Most High, and his covenant, and of the judgments to justify the ungodly. You got it, Ken.
And I want to get this real quick. This is Baruch, and we're going to get right into it, right? I want to get this real quick. This is Baruch, chapter 3, and verse 22. Now, this is speaking about wisdom. It hath not been heard of in Canaan, neither hath it been seen in Teman. So, to the brother's point, a lot of these doctrines, they ultimately come from the Egyptians and the Canaanites, right? The Greeks adopted a lot of the Egyptian gods. The concept of the underworld, the Greeks got that from the Egyptians. The Egyptians, they got that from the Canaanites, and the Canaanites took stuff from the Egyptians and all these other ancient nations. How could the wisdom of the Most High have the same understanding or provide the same understanding as the knowledge of the Canaanites? Because they believe in hell. The Egyptians, they believe in the underworld. They believe in Horus and Isis and Set and all these so-called gods. The Greeks, they believe in Hades and all of that, man. So how could the wisdom of the Most High that teaches truth and equity and justice also be heard in Canaan and Teman? Right? Now, Teman are who? Who's the people of Teman? The Edomites, man. Right? They're always known as being the wise men. Read Jeremiah 49. Read Obadiah. The wise men of Teman. Those are Edomites, man. So the wisdom of the Most High, you're not going to find the doctrine of Esau incorporated in that. If you're teaching what Esau's teaching the Greeks in the Roman Catholic Church, then you clearly don't have the wisdom of the Most High, right? Because it had been heard amongst them. Verse 23. The Agarenes, which are the Hagarenes, that seek wisdom upon earth, the merchants of Meron and of Teman, the authors of fables and searchers out of understanding, none of these have known the way of wisdom or remember her paths. So again, if you, to the brother's point, if you pushing what these nations pushing, you pushing nothing but fables, because the Most High didn't give them wisdom. Read Ecclesiastes chapter 24. What did wisdom speak about herself? She says she made her dwelling in Israel or in Jacob, paraphrasing. Sirach 24, 8 on down. Right? So the concept of judgments on the earth, the afterlife, a judgment to justify the ungodly, the rewards for righteousness, that has been given to the children of Israel. These other nations have no understanding because they're not keeping the law. So how the hell are you going to get your understanding of fables and hell and madness from people that are sodomites, idolaters, abominable eaters of man's flesh, and wicked sorcerers, man? Right? I mean, it's absolute madness. Right? So let's go right into it. Now, I want to kick it off real quick with Psalms, right? Chapter 86. Right? So we got a lot we want to get into today. This is Psalms chapter 86 and 13. Now, this is David speaking, right? For great is thy mercy toward me, and thou hast delivered my soul from the lowest hell. Now, for those men that do believe in an actual place called hell, a lot of men like to just go to the New Testament, right? And they want to go to Mark 9, or they want to go to Revelation 20 or Revelation this, right? What the spirit that Yahushua taught everything that is in the scriptures, man. He says, search the scriptures, for in them they testify of me, and of them you have everlasting life, paraphrasing, right? Let me get that real quick, right? I don't want to paraphrase that too bad, right? This is John chapter 5 and 39. Salakia. John 5 and 39. Search the scriptures, for in them ye think ye have eternal life, and they are they which testify of me. So what are the scriptures? Well, the scriptures is the Old Testament, man. Because Yahushua wasn't walking around with the book of Revelation. He didn't have a book of Acts. He wasn't going to the book of Luke. So everything he taught was in the scriptures. So whenever you hear Yahweh Shah teaching of saying the word hell, you have to get the understanding about where did that come from. You have to think of the environment that the Jews grew up in. You have to take into account Hebraic culture and their understanding of hell before you. A lot of people still got Esau in their mind, right? They still got that Roman Catholic Church Christianity in their mind, and they never let it go. As much as they put their fringes on, grew their beards out, kept the feast day, somewhere in their inward parts, they have refused to let go of that corruptible seed of Christianity. Therefore, they teach the doctrine of Taman and these Edomites. Yahweh Shah says, search the scriptures. Psalms 86 is part of the scriptures. Now, part of the scriptures, we have to search out, well, what is the lowest hell? That would imply that there are various levels of hell. You got the top hell, you got the middle hell, then you got the lowest hell. Now, the word hell just means grave or pit when you go into it. And in Hebrew, right, for this word should be shawa'al, right? Let's see, sha'awal, right? That's your sha, your ah, your wa, and your la. So sha'awal, right? And it means, let's see, Sheol, underworld, grave, hell, pit. And let me say this real quick. You got to have some discernment when you go in the blue letter, because when they put this blue letter together too, in their mind, they're still thinking about, they're not in the truth, right? they're not prophets and apostles, so they're putting underworld in there. So they're throwing they're superimposing their type of understanding into a biblical definition, right? Underworld just means the grave. Don't make it spooky and damn haunted and and all of this mystical stuff that Esau puts out there, man. Right? All it is talking about, okay, place of no return, right? The grave. See, the wicked sent there for punishment. That's their own understanding. Righteous not abandoned to it. Extreme degradation of sin. All it's talking about is the grave. Right? When David said, deliver me from the lowest hell, is speaking about the grave, the resurrection. And hell can also mean a condition. Like a brother say, catching hell. Doesn't mean the brother's catching fire like a football or a basketball. He's going through affliction, man. Right? But you got it, King.
Con. And I want to get this precept too, right? I want to go to the mighty book of Psalms, chapter 16, and verse number 10. Right, Psalms chapter 16 and verse number 10. Right, and it reads, it says, for thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Now, David, before I go into this, I want to get Psalms chapter 78 and verse 2. Because David speaks in parables. As he's speaking in parables, he's speaking in deep things. You don't just read Psalms and it's just a book about feeling good. Well, if you had a bad day, you read the book of Psalms. There's a bunch of dark parables in Psalms. This is Psalms chapter 78, verse 2. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old. That's really talking about Yahweh Shah. A lot of what David spoke, he's speaking about our Lord Yahweh Shah. And as you go to the book of Psalms, the 16th chapter and verse 10, it says, for thou wilt not leave my soul in hell. It's really talking about Yahweh Shah. Because the Lord was not left in the grave. He was resurrected. He wasn't left in hell. The hell that is talking about is the grave. Neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One. David is not the Holy One. The Holy One is Yahweh Shah. To see corruption. Corruption is past 3 days. As you go into your body will start decomposing. That's why it was such a miracle when Lazarus was raised. And you go into the amount of time he was in the grave. And only Yahweh Shai can do something like that. Now, David is quoting something that Peter went back to go into. Let's go to Acts chapter 2, right? In verse number 24. Right, I'm going to read this. It says, whom God have raised up, having loosed the pains of death, because it was not possible that he should be holden of it. Meaning of the Lord Yahweh Shai, it wasn't possible for death to keep the Lord under. It says, for David speaketh concerning him, I foresaw the Lord always before my face, for he is on my right hand, and I shall not be moved. It says, therefore did my heart rejoice, and my tongue was glad. Moreover, also my flesh did rest in hope, because thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Let's talk about the resurrection of Yahushua. So David was speaking about the Lord. Now, if hell was a physical place, then that would have mean that the Lord was in hell, man. Or David was in hell, however somebody may falsely break this down. It says, thou will not leave my soul in hell. It's talking about the grave, meaning the Lord was resurrected. Right, you got it.
Right. Now I want to build on that, because when you go into this word hell in the Greek, let's see what it says. Right. So you have to go to the Greek, you got to go to the Hebrew, you got to go to Latin, you got to know the etymology, not for everything, right? But for certain words that warrant it, right? Because again, like the brother said, this is quoting the Psalms. So the same context and the same spirit that David spoke of the grave, Yahushua was talking about the grave. But let's see how the word hell was translated in the definition that was put there with the mind of these translators. And this is how people get this word, this concept of hell. Now, the word is Hades, right? Hades is the Greek word. Now, Hades in Greek mythology was the so-called brother of Zeus, and he was the god of the underworld, right? Now it says name of Hades or Pluto. Pluto's the Roman version, Hades the Greek version. The god of the lower regions. Is that what David was talking about when David said, thou will not leave my soul in hell? He was talking about, okay, well, I don't want to be, I hope the god of the lower regions, don't hold me back. No, man. Right? What scripture is that? Where's this account of the God? How many? There's only one God, man. Wouldn't David know the Shema Yasha Ali Yahweh Allah Hayanawa Yahweh Akkad? Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. So why would David be going to hell off, speaking about in his song about a God of the lower regions? Where's the account of a prophet checking David? Okay, well, David, what the hell are you doing? You're talking about Hades. Don't you know that where's Nathan? Who's the other prophet? Gad? Gad the seer? Where's the account of Nathan or Gad the seer or Joab had to get a third woman to feign herself a wise woman again? Talk to David and get on him, huh? David, you've done it again. There's no account of that. Now, it says Orcus too. Who's Orcus? That's why when you go to these definitions, you got to be careful, right? Orcus, the netherworld, the realm of the dead. Later use of this word, the grave, death, hell. Now, who's Orcus? Right now, let me pull this up, bro. I got Orcus. So see how the spirit had to play out. We already got Orcus lined up. Spirit had to go to Acts 2, just so we can go to Orcus. Right? Orcus, look at Orcus. This is where they get Satan from. The concept of Satan.
Madness.
Is this in the Bible when Yahushua said, thou will not leave my soul in hell? Right? And he had to deal with Orcus. You got the Most High up there. You got Satan. And then you got Orcus. Right? Look at Orcus, man. Let me pull up Orcus. Damn, Orcus. Something from He-Man. Look at this. Right? Where is this at in the scriptures, man? See, this is something that the so-called white man makes up. This is where he gets his. And they really got Orcus from the Egyptians. The Egyptians had a so-called calf god. I believe his name was Baal. I gotta go back. We did a cold cut on it a long time ago, but that goes back to the Egyptians. All this stuff goes back to the Egyptians that the Lord said don't do in Leviticus 18. Look at Orcus. The God of the netherworld. Is this in the scriptures? And he got scars on him as if he fought and the Most High sent them down to the netherworld. That's Christianity, man. This is something from He-Man. Right? So when you deal with Orcus, there is no Orcus. Right? Now I'm gonna read a little bit of this additional information. Right? It says, in biblical Greek, it is associated with Orcus, the infernal regions, a dark and dismal place in the very depths of the earth, the common receptacle of disembodied spirits. Usually, Hades is just the abode of the wicked, a very uncomfortable place. So that's Greek mythology. Where is the infernal regions in the scriptures, man? I thought there was water under the earth, man. Right, pursuant to the law. Now you got volcanoes and things of that, but where is this deep dark place of infernal regions, which is common for disembodied spirits, man? Right? Now, one more, it says properly unseen Hades, or the place of departed souls, grave hell. Right? And we're going to go into this, right? But you got it, King.
Right, I want to get this quick precept. And two, to make a quick point, right? Where's the account that you? It's like when you going into it, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Right? You to be able to burn forever, you will have to be immortal. But righteousness makes you immortal. So somehow with this doctrine, you will have to stretch you being immortal to be able to be burned and not be put to death. Good.
No, yeah. Quick point. Then you will have to have a spiritual body.
Right.
Unless your spirit could feel pain outside of a corruptible body. Or that's what you would have to teach. Right? But go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you would have to teach. Right? I mean, it just makes more and more room for folly and madness and imaginations and pulling things not, out of the Bible, but out of your own mind and or this world to justify that false understanding. Right? This is the mighty book of Psalms, right? Chapter 139 and verse number 8. Right? And it reads, if I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. Talking about the Most High. The Most High is everywhere. Right? You got the Most High, right? He sits upon his throne, but yet he's everywhere at the same time. It says, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. So is the Most High in hell? In a place where all wicked dwells? Right? I mean, you would have to really ask yourself, why do I believe certain things that are opposed that men are saying? Why is the Most High dwelling with the unclean? Right? The heavens aren't even clean in the Most High sight. How much more the Lord dwelling right in hell, man? Meaning it's just saying that you can't hide from the Most High. He's everywhere. Right? Where could I go? Like it says in verse 7, whither shall I go from thy spirit, or whether shall I flee from thy presence? Meaning the Most High is everywhere. Right? He's not dwelling in an underground place that's in make-believe. Now I want to touch on this in Job chapter 26. Because you may hear and or believe that, hell is a place, under the earth somewhere, or maybe in a different world, or whatever the case may be. It's Job chapter 26 and verse 6. Hell is naked before him, and destruction have no covering. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. And there's nothing under the earth, man. There's not an underground place where it just stems all the way down, right? Then under the earth and or underground, there's just this place dwelling, man. There's nothing under the earth. There's not another dimension under the earth. There's not another portal, right? There's no such thing as hell under the earth. The Lord hangeth the earth upon nothing. Meaning you have that land, right? And then you underneath you have that dirt soil. Right? You got it, Ken.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. And I want to go to Jeremiah the 7th chapter to go into it, right? To add more. This is Jeremiah chapter 7 and verse 31. So when you go into that concept of modern day hell, for the Jews and for Israel, it starts with the valley of Hinnom and Tophet, which was essentially a place where the Jews would burn carcasses and trash and garbage and waste, you know, and it was originally a place used for burning children and child sacrifice. And in process of time, it turned into a burning ground, a perpetual burning ground that was always on fire outside Jerusalem, where they would burn their carcasses and waste and trash and debris and the dead of the nations. And it became a figure of judgment for an eternal place of damnation, right? And we can go into that. Now, this is Jeremiah 7:31. And they have built, because the Jews picked up a lot of those customs from the Greeks when we were Hellenized. And a lot of those strange fables and things amongst these other nations, and they incorporated it as a concept of judgment on the nations or Israel, right? This is Jeremiah 7:31. And they have built the high places of Tophet, which is in the valley of the son of Hanam, to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I commanded them not, neither came it into my heart. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be called Tophet, nor the valley of the son of Hanam, but the valley of slaughter. For they shall bury in Tophet till there be no place. Now, when you look up Tophet, Tophet and the son of Hanam is also known, or the son of Hanam is also called Gehenna. Gehenna and Tophet were key locations used. They were in the same vicinity, but used as a figure for a fable or fictitious place called hell, right? And we're going to go to that. Let's go to the book of Isaiah real quick. Quick precept, right? Let's go to Isaiah 31, right? It's like I want Isaiah chapter 30. That's what I want, right? Slaki. This is Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 30. It reads, and Yahweh, now this is the judgment on Esau when you read it, and Yahweh shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lightning down his arm with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame, see that, with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstone. So if you can discern, that's speaking about Yahweh Shah's second coming. It's not going to say Yahweh Shah. It's not going to say Jesus' return. You got to see it in the spirit, right? That's what it's talking about. You link it up with Revelation 19 and 19, 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and 1 on down, right? Isaiah chapter 66, 17, for behold, the Lord cometh with fire, and his chair is like a whirlwind. Same precept, right? Or same spirit. Verse 31, for through the voice of Yahweh shall the Assyrian be beaten down, which smote with a rod. Meaning America, the so-called white man, they're going to be destroyed by the chariots. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon them, it shall be with tabrets and harps, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. Now here's the point. For Tophet is ordained of old. Yea, for the king it is prepared. It hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it. Now, why does it say for Tophet is ordained of old? Because Isaiah is, or Yahweh Shah and Isaiah were moving in the exact same spirit. When he says Tophet was ordained of old, Tophet is a place where they would burn bodies. We just read it in Jeremiah 7. They would do sacrifice and they would burn bodies and carcasses. The Lord said Tophet, that same burning ground, is ordained of old, meaning that fire, which became a figure of the lake of fire, is reserved and ordained for the king of Assyria. That's why it says, yea, for the king it is prepared. That's why in Revelation 19, it's called the lake of fire, and it's prepared for the devil and his angels. You read that in Matthew 25. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. So the Lord uses Tophet as a burning judgment for the wicked. It's literally used as a judgment for the wicked. And all those who are with the Assyrian and all those who are wicked, they're going to be burned in his brimstone, but it's being used figuratively as Tophet or you'll also see the word Valley of Hinnom. Now, this word Tophet in the Hebrew, right? When you go into it, right? Let's pull this up real quick, right? Let's go to this word in the Hebrew. Now, that word is place of fire, a place in the southeast end of the valley of the son of Hinnom, south of Jerusalem. So it's always been used as a place of fire. That's where hell comes from in the New Testament. Whenever Yahushua says hell, or the apostles speak of hell, it ultimately goes back to something that the Jews were very, very familiar with. And they were never in their mind thinking of an eternal place of fire underground. This place was just used as a figure of judgment, right? And it was always burning. So it was likened to a judgment for the wicked. And it was literally, and I had the map right here pulled up. It was literally, Salakia, I believe this was the map. Valley of the son of Hinnom. This was literally a burning pitch, and they would keep this thing burning and burning and burning. It seems like forever. That's where the concept of burning forever actually comes from, right? But you got it, King. It's like I got to go ahead. You got it.
Khan. That also made me think of the brook Cudgerin, right, too, when you were going into that. Right, I want to dive into 2 Kings chapter 23, right, in verse number 6. Right, because you had, like the brother was going into, that place that's burning and burning. It was a place of judgment where men would bring up dead bodies, ashes, right, and all of the wicked, and they would burn them by the brook Cudgerin. It's the book of 2 Kings chapter 23, verse number 6. And he brought out the grove from the house of the Lord without Jerusalem unto the brook Cudgerin, and burned it at the brook Cudgerin, and stamped it small to powder, and cast the powder thereof unto the graves of the children of the people. So that's also a place in Israel where they had heavy judgment going on, the brook Cudgerin. Right, I want to go to Jeremiah chapter 31, right, in verse number 40. It's the mighty book of Jeremiah chapter 31, and I'm going to start at verse number 40. It says, and the whole valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes and of the fields unto the brook Cudgerin, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto the Lord. It shall not be plucked up nor thrown down any more forever. So it used to be a place where it was nothing but dead bodies. They used to burn things, ashes, right? That was the spirit, right, of how men used to get rid of the wicked when you go into it, man. So you had these places reserved for judgment and things that were going on, right? When kings would take idols and burn them by the brook Cudgerin. So it was like a place where you would burn, and like the brother was going into, right, parabolically for the day of the Lord and brimstone and judgment. But on a physical level, they did that with the kings and different idols and different things. So, I mean, burning, people would take that and they'll run off with it as if it's maybe a place underground and or break it down to a philosophy. Now, I wanted to get one more quick precept, right? The Song of the Three Holy Children, verse 66. Now, discernment is very important when you see the word hell, because hell doesn't just mean, the grave. It means a state of affliction also. But you have to cipher betwixt the two, when you read in the scriptures. This is the book, right, of Song of the Three Holy Children. I'm gonna start at verse number 65. It says, O Ananias, Azarias, and Mishael, bless ye the Lord, praise and exalt him above all forever. For he hath delivered us from hell and saved us from the hand of death. So how can you be delivered from hell? Hell was the state of affliction that they were in as they were in the furnace. And anybody that's in a furnace and or about to be put to death, you would say, I'm catching hell, or I'm in hell, man. Right? Today was hell. But you know what? I want to get out of here, man. This place is hell. Right? Hell was just an affliction and a state of mind that you're going through. So these men said, for he have delivered us from hell and saved us from the hand of death, and delivered us out of the midst of the furnace, and burning flame. Even out of the midst of the fire have he redeemed us. Right? So the Most High saved these men out of that condition that they were in, about to get put to death. So hell isn't a place where the Most High, I thought hell was just to condemn the wicked forever. Right? And then after you're condemned, it is what it is. Right? They have no more help nor salvation. So those men were delivered from that state because that's going into affliction. You got it, Ken.
Yeah, and really, when you believe in hell, I mean, an actual place called hell, it's contradictory of the entire Bible. Because you could be wicked and wicked and wicked and keep coming back on the earth over and over and over. But then the next time you're wicked, when Yahweh shall return, you get thrown in a fiery furnace. Well, that's madness. That would be an unjust judgment, right? And then you have that would be an unjust balance. If you have all destruction and people just burning forever, there's no spirit of compassion or mercy with that, man. Every judgment is balanced with the Most High, right? So there's no physical place where you just burn and burn and burn, where you're immortal and you feel it, and your spirit is already fire. First of all, right? Your spirit is already a burning fire, and then you're adding more fire to it, but yet your spirit is feeling pain. That's why the Most High created the body the way it is. You have a nervous system, a muscular system, a skeletal system, a respiratory, an endocrine. You have all of these bodily functions created by the Most High. You deal with pain and senses and sensory and things of that nature. Your spirit doesn't have that, right? That's why you have flesh. So how's your spirit, and you feel, how's that a punishment when your spirit needs flesh to feel pain? Physical pain. It's just madness. Right? I want to get this quick precept, then I want to read this definition. Right? This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3 and verse 20. All go unto one place. All are of the dust, and all turn to dust again. Now, what does that mean, all go to one place? They all go to the grave. And then their spirit ultimately goes back up to the Most High, right? That's the one place. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 real quick, right? The Most High don't change. Now man goes to 3 places or 2 places. Ecclesiastes 12 and 7. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto God who gave it. Now the Most High don't get his spirit back. It's sent into hell. Who's guarding hell? Who's over that? Because the earth was given unto man. Everything has to have dominion over it. So who's over this realm called hell? Who has somebody? If you know the Most High, something has to have dominion over a creation. Man was given dominion over the beasts of the field, the fowls of the air, the fishes of the sea, and the earth. The Most High has dominion in the heavens. Yahweh Shai has gathered them in one, and he has dominion over the heavens and the earth, given to him by the Father. Now, who has dominion in hell? And where's the account that the Most High swore an oath and promised that this, okay, you have dominion over hell? Right? This is madness. Now, this is the classic, right? Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is Gehenna, like we were going into. This is page 190. You can look this up on your own, right? Gehenna, page 190. Valley of Hinnom, like we read in Jeremiah 7. A valley on the west and southwest of Jerusalem, which formed part of the border between Judah and Benjamin, right? Joshua 15 and 8, right? Joshua 18, that Joshua 15 goes into Judah, 18 going to Benjamin. Nehemiah 11 and 30. Here, Ahaz and Manasseh sacrificed their sons to Molech. For this reason, Josiah defiled the place. After referring to the idolatrous barbarities, Jeremiah prophesies a great slaughter of the people there and in the siege of Jerusalem. Now check this out. Now we didn't write this. After the Old Testament period, meaning after Malachi, after the Persian captivity, it reads, Jewish apocalyptic writers began to call the valley of Hinnom the entrance to hell. Later, hell itself. Hold on, let's read that again, right? After the Old Testament period, which means during the time of the Greeks, when Hellenization and Greek philosophy played a major role on our people, right? Jewish apocalyptic writers, right? So where is that at? When did the Most High say, okay, we're going to have Israelites, you're just going to write about eternal judgment, right? No, you have the books in the scriptures for a reason. There's no hidden book of the apocalypse, man. So you had scribes that was just doing their own thing. Began to call the valley of Hinnom, like we read about, that's that burning place, the entrance to hell, and later hell itself. So there's no actual place called hell. Even the scholars, the scribes, the teachers of the law, they knew that, right? They themselves, they knew that. I'm gonna get this quick precept, right? And then I'm gonna read on, then I'm gonna pass it. This is Jeremiah chapter 32 and 35, right? So we're reading about Hinnom. And they built the high places of Baal, which are in the valley of the son of Hinnom. And that's the location south of Jerusalem, southeast, where they said, this is where we're going to create this idea of hell, right? To cause their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, because that's where fire was burning and burning, which I commanded them not. Now there came it into my mind that they should do this abomination to cause Judah to sin. Now, let me read on to this definition. Jewish apocalyptic writers began to call the valley of Hinnom the entrance to hell. Later, hell itself. The word occurs 12 times in the New Testament, always translated hell. The ASV, RSV say Gehenna. 11 times it is on the lips of Yahushua as the final punishment for calling one's brother a fool, right? Matthew 5:22, for adultery, when thou severest measures have slakia, when the severest measures have not been taken to prevent commission of this offense, right? And he quoted Matthew 5:29, Mark 4 and 43 through 47, right? Now that's Gehenna, and that's where they get the concept of hell from, right? Now, Ryan, you mind if I get one more thing?
Come, bring it up.
Now, real quick, this is the etymology of the word hell. This is where the actual English word hell comes from. Okay, because when they translated it from the Greek into the English, they had to use the English word hell, right? Which has its own etymology. So, hell, Old English, hell, neither world, abode of the dead, infernal regions, place of torment for the wicked after death. Now, that's not the Hebrew. The Hebrew is sha'awal, which means the grave. But then they throw this word hell in there, because let's see where it came from. Right? Let's jump down. Okay, it says from the Old Norse hell, literally concealed place, which means the underworld or the grave. To cover, to conceal. One who covers up or hides something was the name of Loki's daughter who ruled over the evil dead. So that's where they get the word. They said, we're going to use this word hell because this is the best word, because it deals with the wicked and those who rule over the dead. So even when they translated it, they used the word familiar with the pagan concept of an underworld and a place that people lived under the earth, right? And Nephilim, the lowest of all worlds. It might have reinforced the English word as a transfer. Check this out. As a transfer of a pagan concept to Christian theology and its vocabulary. So even the so-called white man and the scholars are telling you it was a transfer of pagan concepts of an underworld, Greek mythology, Norse mythology, and they transferred it in that vocabulary into the scriptures, and made you think there's an actual underworld or a place called hell. Even the scholars are telling you that. You can look up Barnhart, the Zondervan, they all know that, right? You got it, King.
Connors, right? That's why you got to go into these books, man, too, right? Where these scholars be able to identify and go into these things, because it further will take down your understanding that you may have. Right? I want to dive into Wisdom of Solomon 16, right? I want to start at 13, because a lot of people have certain scriptures which, you know, to certain men are hard to break down. You know, the Bible isn't easy to break down, right? It takes a whole lot of mercy for the Most High for you to be able to understand these scriptures and these parables. Right? This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, and verse number 13. Now, this may be a stumbling block to a lot of people that hell may be real, and or that, you know, you're not going to be able to come back and regeneration and XYZ. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 16, and verse 13. For thou hast power of life and death. Meaning the Most High has power to bring you to life. There are many men that were resurrected. You know, Elijah resurrected men. Peter. You had certain men that had the power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to help resurrect man. And death, meaning the Lord could kill you. He could smite you, right? You could drown to death, burn with fire, right? You could kill yourself. The Lord put an evil angel on you, make you jump off a cliff. So the Lord has power over life and of death, to bring you to life spiritually and to kill you off, man, right? Spiritually. Have you believing in a false doctrine? Thou leadest to the gates of hell. The Most High is not going to hold your hand or your Yahushua and lead you to the gate of hell. It's not literal. He's going to hold your hand and he's going to lead. All right, this is as far as I go. The gates of hell was talking about the grave.
Right.
And bring us up again. Meaning the Lord has power to take you to the gates of hell. That's why the Lord, you know, we don't have to necessarily get it, or if the Spirit had to come out, that the Lord said that the gates of hell couldn't even hold up against it, right? Paraphrasing greatly by the hand of the Apostle Peter, right? The gates of hell couldn't even prevail against it, right? It says, a man indeed killeth through his malice, meaning the wicked man kills by his ignorance, and the spirit, when it is gone forth, returneth not, neither the soul receiveth up, cometh again. That's not saying that there's no such thing as regeneration. That's saying that that man has now sealed his lot. He can no more do anything righteous. He can no more repent. He can no more have any type of justification to make amends of the wicked deeds and things that he's done. Once you kill and do wickedness through your malice, right? The Lord said, paraphrasing greatly, right, in the book of Psalms, chapter 16, verse 5, everybody is literally subject to that lot. I mean, if you're a prophet, you're going to always be a prophet. If you're an evil man, you're going to always be an evil man, right? If you're an adulterer, right? If you're one of those wicked seeds, right, that are against the Most High, like Yahushua said, ye are of your father the devil. You can't change your father, even spiritually. There are certain men that are just subject to wickedness. It says, a man indeed killeth through his malice, and the spirit, when it's gone forth, returneth not. Like the Lord said in Ecclesiastes, the 8th chapter, no man have power over the spirit to retain the spirit. Right. Meaning certain men, you have no power over your death. The Lord want to kill you when you're 23. Guess what? You're going to die the death of the age of 23. Right? If the Lord want to take you out at 75, then that's the age you're going to go out. You don't have power over it. Right? Death and life. Neither the soul receiveth up, cometh again. But it is not possible to escape the hand, so like your dying hand. Right? So when it's talking about the gates of hell and life and death, and it's going into life and it's going into death. And the Lord has the only power to be able to resurrect that and or, you know, not grant that to you. Right? I want to go to 2nd Esdras chapter 9. Right? It's another heavy precept that a lot of people may stumble at. 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter. It's 2nd Esdras chapter 9. And 2, when you go into the scriptures, you have to read context. You have to stay in context as well as the spirit. You don't want to just seemingly just break everything down in the spirit, because your mind make you to believe that everything's about Esau. No, you have physical pharaohs in the Bible. You have physical men that were actually during this time physical Assyrian kings. You can't break everything down carnally, right, and just say everything is Esau. Think everything is hell underground, or you have to have the context of what it's going into and the knowledge as well. So when you read 2nd Esdras, the 9th chapter, and I'm gonna start at 8, it says, "Shall be preserved." I'm gonna start at 7. "And every one that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed." Right, this is talking about the last days. Escape from vengeance, death, right, famine, persecution. It says, "shall be preserved from the said perils." The said perils, like I was going into, is all of the famine and the sword and things going on in the streets. "And shall see my salvation in my land and within my borders, for I have sanctified them from me from the beginning." And the elect are in the palm of the Lord's hand from the time that the Lord created the earth, before the time the Lord created the earth, till now and to this very time. "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways, and they which have cast them away despitefully shall dwell in torments." That's not talking about hell. It's talking about the same thing that it's talking about in verse 8. That's why you have to stay in context. It says, "shall be preserved from the said pearls." The said pearls is not talking about hell. It's talking about all of the things which men are going to be in pitiful case that are going to happen upon the earth. Wild beasts are going to change their habitation. Right? That's a sad pearl. Men are going to be getting shot down in the streets. Right? The bridegroom shall mourn. Right? Having no husband. Those are the perils and the pitiful case of the men that have forsaken the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. It's not talking about you're going to dwell in torments underground. Dwell in torments getting whooped. What is his name? Odious?
Orcus.
Orcus, man. Damn Orcus. Right? You're not going to be beat by Orcus after death, man. It says, "Then shall they be in pitiful case, which now have abused my ways." The abusing the Lord's ways is taking advantage of his mercy, not listening to his laws, not hearkening to his prophets. "And they shall have cast them away despitefully, shall dwell in torments." The dwelling is the estate that they're going to be in, not a physical place. "For such as in their life have received benefits and have not known me." Right? They have their lust of their flesh, whether it be a new job. Right? Certain jobs be paying on the Sabbath day, man. They'll pay extra. Right? I mean, certain men, they'll live out their lust desires and receive the benefits of the flesh, making yourself feel good. Right? Or whatever the case may be, how Satan presents himself as an angel of life to give you. Right? It says, "And they that have loathed my law," meaning they didn't want to hear it, "while they had yet liberty," right? Meaning the opportunity to repent and have grace and mercy to come back to Yahushua. "And when as yet place of repentance was open unto them, understood not, but despised it." Meaning they thought this truth was a game. "The same must know it after death by pain." Right? So they're going to be put to death in the sad perils. They're going to be resurrected, know what they should have done by seeing the Lord, that all of this was true, that there is a king called Yahushua, that there are such things as angels, that the elect is real. Maybe those men, like the Lord said in Ezekiel 33 and 33, "then should they have known that a prophet had been among them." Huh? All of those people that were scoffing, laughing at, pointing, joking, right, spitting upon, right, enjoying the lust of their flesh, joking at them. The Lord said, "then shall they know it after death by pain." Right? So they're going to know it when they see the strangeness of the salvation, the chariots, and the destruction that's going to happen upon them by fire and brimstone. That's the pain they're going to witness after death, by understanding all the things that they could have took advantage of, right? But they despised it. Brothers, God.
Yeah, Shalom, Yardan. Yeah, and I
Shalom.
was going to say, you quoted that was the spirit was Masalm in the 5th chapter. "Then shall the righteous stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted them, and made no account of his labors." Because a lot of brothers get tripped up on that after death by pain, as if that's that Christianity still in your mind, as if the only way you can feel pain is if you're in an eternal place underground, as if the Most High can't raise you from the dead and destroy you, man. They wanted to give Lazarus pain after death. After Lazarus was raised from the dead, they wanted to kill him, man. Right? That's trying to give somebody pain after death. Right? They tried to they set watches over Yahweh Shah unless he rose again, man. And if they was to see him, they probably would have caught him and tried to do what they wanted to do to him, man. Right? This is let's see, I want to get straight to the point. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 14. For the hope of the ungodly is like dust that is blown away with the wind, like a thin froth that is driven away with storm, like as smoke which is dispersed here and there with the tempest, and passeth away as the remembrance of a guest that tarrieth but a day. But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. But if you're the wicked and you're the ungodly, you're going to rise again, like the brother was saying, and you're going to get those missiles, man. Or you're going to get the chariot, fire, brimstone, and the lasers that come from on high. Now, another point I want to touch on, I want to get a precept right to a point that you brought, is I want to go to Revelation, the 18th chapter. Right? This is Revelation chapter 18 and verse 10. I'm going to start at 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and live deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her burning. Right? Because America is going to be turned to the lake of fire, and they're going to see Babylon the Great on fire, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So torment is going to be seen by the living. They're going to see Babylon tormented by the fire and the brimstone. But these are men alive that are going to see it. So torment is not something that happens to people after you die and only the Most High can see it, and you in the underworld burning and burning and burning. Right? When Babylon the Great is on fire, the other nations, they're going to get word of it, whoever the Most High have it happen, and they're going to see that destruction, and they're going to witness torment. Stop thinking torment is some mystical thing, man. Right? Let me get this real quick. One more. This 2 Peter, right? Chapter 2. This 2 Peter chapter 2 and verse 4. For if the Most High spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into the chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment. Now, if you believe in hell, you have to explain 2 Peter 2 and 4. Right? Because people that believe in hell, they're saying that Yahweh Shah is going to open up a realm. There's a lot of different beliefs. Some people say it's already here. You die and you go there when you die. Some people say, well, hold on, it's going to be opened up when Yahweh Shah returns. Right? Well, there's already angels there. There's already angels, evidently, according to whatever that madness is, in hell. The Lord bound them up in chains and threw them in hell. That's madness, man. This isn't talking about actual angels that sinned and the Lord threw them into a fiery pit called hell. Now, it's really going into men on a deeper level, right? And hell are these bodies on this earth, right? This is the chains of darkness, the prison, the pit. But I want to go into this word hell very quickly, right? In the Greek, you go into this word hell, right? Now here's the word hell that they were cast into. The Greek word is Tartarus. Now it says, the name of the subterranean region, doleful and dark, regarded by the ancient Greeks as the abode of the wicked dead, where they suffer punishment for their evil deeds. It answers, check this out, it answers to Gehenna of the Jews, because the Jews made Gehenna a fictitious eternal place of judgment. The Greeks did it. The Egyptians did it. And it tells you that was something made up. The apocalyptic scribes made that up. and use it as a figure of judgment. This is Tartarus, right? Now check this out. The deepest abyss of Hades. Oh, real quick, Slocky. To incarcerate in eternal torment. So who's hold on. What is who's getting incarcerated, bro? You mean Satan? The Most High gonna send angels, and you're gonna have to hold one hand up here, you're gonna spread them, then one hand up here, then an angel. Okay, one hand right here. Okay, then another angel, put your hand, then you kind of fighting against. He says, don't resist. He said, well, you're being incarcerated, right? And then he take you in some vehicle, man, and you go to hell. And he drops you off and press the eject button while you're incarcerated, and you're just bound up, burning, man. Where is that at in the scriptures? That's some sick Edomite mentality, man. Some demonic thought. You just incarcerate somebody, just burn them up, and they send up there bound up. That's not the Most High, man. Tartarus is not of the Most High, right? Pull this real quick. And this is real quick, Tartarus, right? The infernal regions of ancient Greek mythology, right? So this is that same thing, right? But you got it, King.
No, you beat me to it. I had the definition of Tartarus pulled up as well. Can brothers hear me?
Come.
If brothers also seen that movie, Immortals, you had those the false gods, false Greek gods. They was cast in the Tartarus in that movie, and it just goes to show that it's just Greek mythology tied in with Egyptian mythology. Israel, we never really believed in that at all, literally. And I don't know if brothers brought this out. I got a quick point. 2 Maccabees chapter 7 verse 14. So when he was ready to die, he said thus, it is good being put to death by men, to look for hope from God, to be raised up again by him. As for thee, thou shalt have no resurrection to life. So when you die, where are you appointed? Is it immediately to hell, or is your spirit just waiting? And if it's waiting, or if it's in hell, does it get resurrected back and go back to hell? Do they answer these questions? I came in a little late. Do they ever address it? Because I'm trying to make it make sense.
Well, I haven't seen them go. I've seen brothers try to go through hell, but they read straight through Revelation 20 and 15, where it says death and hell delivered up the dead that were in it. They just read straight through it. But nobody really, we haven't brought it out yet, but if you want to go into it, we can go into
it. Okay. Oh, wait, you got it.
Yeah, bro, you had something?
Con, I had a quick point. And two, I thought hell was reserved for the wicked. And if hell was reserved for the wicked, how are we going to have slaves? How are the other nations going to be on earth while Israel was going to be in hell? That's a question I would want to ask anybody that believes in hell. If hell was for the wicked and all of the evildoers and the unjust men that have walked the earth, who's more unjust than these nations? Who's more lawless and evil and treacherous than the Moabites, than the Edomites, than the Ammonites? Good.
No. Go. I want to make a quick point after you.
No, go ahead.
No, quick point. I was just thinking, okay, well, somebody mic going crazy. If the Edomites, I got mute they mic. If the Edomites are going to be exterminated after 1,000 years, right? There is no account. Are they going to hell after 1,000 years? Right? Or are the Israelites, the point I'm making, are the Edomites after 1,000 years going to be exterminated? Because the judgment says they're going to get burnt up on the earth. And then they're going to go to a place called hell. You're going to have Israelites and Edomites burning forever in hell. And the Edomites, I mean, there's so much madness behind it, because if the Edomites are going to an actual place called hell, and Yardan, I think this was your point, don't they got to be regenerated to be our slaves? Right? Don't they got to keep coming back on the earth? Because they're going to wax old and die. Then where are the other spirits coming from? The Most High, what's he going to pull them out? This is just mad. It's just madness. Right? I just want to make that point to that.
Con.
Yeah,
It's lame back.
it's just folly. Good.
I was gonna say
I
it
got
hold me back.
I
Yeah,
got point up to you.
what's gonna happen to him? What's gonna happen? Who is this speaking? This was the king. Is he gonna die, go to hell, then be resurrected and go back to hell? Or is he gonna die and the spirit's just waiting to be resurrected to go to hell? Where's the order of events? And where's the precepts to direct us? To let us know with this and then step B, step C, and then step A again. You know, I gotta see it too. I just gotta see it.
And two, where everything is a just balance. To my last point, and I want to touch on this quick point too. Yeah, I mean, who's more wicked than the so-called white man and the Moabite man, right? And the Arabian man. So if they're not going to be in hell and they're going to be slaves, but the Lord's own children, who he had a covenant with, mercy, love, compassion for generation to generation, he's going to burn, he's going to take his people in the palm that was in the palm of his hand, right? He's not going to wash them and cleanse them, right? What he's going to do is he's going to take them and put them underground to burn forever, while the Moabite man is in his own land being governed by Israel. Now, that is folly and madness to think that these nations are going to have a better life than God's chosen people. Somebody's going to have to answer that. That's one quick point. And two, where everything is a just balance. You have a sun, you have a moon, you have the righteous, you have the wicked. You have all of these accounts in the scriptures going into the kingdom of heaven. How beautiful it's going to be, the land, the people, right? The dominion, right? Not being sick, right? Not crying, right? The gates, right? I mean, we could go on and on and on for 17 lives, for on and on how beautiful and the structure of the kingdom is going to be. Now, with every just balance of the Lord, right, where's the account of how harsh and tormentive the places hell is going to be? It's an imagination. It's not there.
Right.
You have the judgments of the Lord in the law, right? Then you will have the blessings in the law, right? You have the mercy of the Lord. Then you have the destruction, right, that the Lord puts on you as you read the scriptures. You have the kingdom of heaven. And where's the account of hell? From the time of Genesis, where the Lord created, right, everything is 6 days and rest of 7, to the time when you get to the end all be all in Revelation, it's not there. The brothers got it.
Yeah, and I keep, I'm thinking, then I keep, I confound myself because when you go to Revelation chapter 20, let's go to Revelation 20 real quick, because this is Revelation 20, right? Let's just deal with it, right? We're gonna read Revelation 28 through 15, all right? Because this you have to explain. Somebody has to explain this the right way, right? I'm gonna start at 7. And when Revelation 20 and 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan must be loosed out of his prison. Now, according to Christianity, this is, and I hope brothers in Israel don't teach that the spiritual demon Satan is going to be bound up in a prison somewhere, right? There's some spiritual bars that Satan is bound up in, right? He touches it and it shock him or something. And they got the angels, what do they call them? Quaternions in the book of Acts. 4 quaternions watching him, and his feet is fast in stocks. This Satan is talking about the so-called white man, right? He's going to come up out of the dark ages, right? During the Renaissance, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the 4 quarters of the earth, right? It's happening now. Gog and Magog, to gather them to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And no, this isn't talking about 1,000 years after in the kingdom, and then Esau, he rebels. He's building weapons and he's holding councils at night while we keeping the feast day. Esau has torches in the night, like Django. Brother seen Django. Remember they had them horsemen with the mask on, and they was having a council, right? That's not what's going on, man. And they put black mask over their face, and they're talking about, okay, how are we going to take the Israelites down? It's been 1,000 years. Enough is enough. Where is it at in the scriptures, man? Give me the scripture where it says enough is enough, or I've had enough. It's not in there, right? So this is speaking about right now, all these nations getting ready for war. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city, and fire came down from the Most High out of heaven and devoured them, right? Because Yahweh Shah is going to destroy them with the chariots. When they compass Israel, we get beamed down in that land. And the devil that deceived them was cast into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are, and shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. And this is a stumbling block. First of all, is the spiritual demon Satan going to be cast into the lake of fire? What evil did he do? Give me the account, and this is a more of a heavier question, because the brother might say, well, you know, the devil, he's wicked. Well, the devil does what he's supposed to do, okay? The devil has never done anything wrong. The spiritual demon Satan, is actually more on fire than a lot of brothers, man. Right? Now, you got brothers scratching their head, they closing their laptop, they throwing their phone, they shutting the live down when these brothers are off. Satan is doing what he's supposed to do. Right? And I'm choosing because if I use another word, brothers are going to loot, they're going to punch their screen. Right? Satan is doing what he's supposed to do, and I'll leave it at that. So why is he going to be cast into the lake of fire? He works directly for the Most High. That would be unjust. Right? This is talking about the so-called white man. Right? Your so-called Russians, that's the Edomites of Gog and Magog. They're going to be destroyed with fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are. Meaning the same way America was destroyed, it's the same way Russia and its allies are going to be destroyed. That's all it's saying. Because America is going to be destroyed first by fire and brimstone. That's why it says where the beast and the false prophet are. America is going to be destroyed first, pursuant to Isaiah 19, right? And one on down, Revelation 17, 16 on down, Jeremiah 50, Jeremiah 51, Isaiah 13. America's the first nation out, right? They're going to have their soldiers in the valley of Jehoshaphat with the rest of the other soldiers of these other nations, right? And then the Most High is going to sing Yahweh Shah. He's going to destroy them, right? And shall be tormented day and night forever and ever. Now, don't take that word forever and ever and say, aha. Forever and ever doesn't always mean literally forever and ever, right? Forever could also mean a long time, right? And that's another thing that brothers don't understand. They see these words and start thinking like an Edomite, right? Remember the Hebrews, the Israelites, were people of slang, of hip talk, you know? Jake could say, hey, brother, I haven't seen you in a minute, man. It's been a minute, man. The Lord said he's going to destroy America in an hour. So you're going to set the timer. Okay, America, okay, you got 1 hour. Okay, it's destroyed. It just means a short time. The Lord said in Jeremiah 17:4, and thou, even thyself, shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. Is the Lord still going to be angry with Israel forever? We're in the kingdom. Then the Most High say, man, the hell with this. And he start destroying Israel. No, that's wicked. This means long time. Right? The brothers have anything else on that before I move on? Because I want to get to 15.
Now you got it.
All right, yeah. All right, let me read on. Right? And we only going through this very quickly because, you know, we've covered this many times. And I saw a great white throne and him that sat on it, from whose face the earth and heaven fled away, and there was no place found for them. Meaning, once the Yahweh Shemel Shah is on the throne, all these other nations are going to be destroyed. Right? The Lord isn't going to sit on the throne 2 times. All right? You got brothers saying it's going to happen after 1,000 years. So the Lord he's not going to sit on the throne the first time, right? When the body of the eagle is given to the burning flame, then he's going to sit on the throne 1,000 years after. And I saw the dead, small and great, stand before God, and the books were open. And another book was open, which is the book of life. and the dead were judged out of those things which were written in the books according to their works. Here's the point. And the sea gave up the dead which were in it, and death and hell delivered up the dead which were in them, and they were judged every man according to their works. And death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. Hold on. So if you're going to be destroyed and go to hell, how in the hell could hell be cast into the lake of fire? And how was hell delivering up the dead? I thought they were incarcerated and taken to this burning pit, man. But yet they get hell parole. Now you're in prison, you get parole, somebody got out, they got the ankle monitor on, they're on house arrest. Where's hell parole? Where you can come out and go before the judge, right? You're already in hell. And then how is hell going to be cast into the lake of fire? So these must be two separate things. It can't be the same thing, right? Hell and the lake of fire cannot mean the same thing, because hell cannot be cast into hell. Brothers got it.
Con, and I want to go into the book of Revelation. All right, I want to get this real fast. Revelation chapter 1 and verse 18. Right, and going to this. This is the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 1 and verse 18. Right?
See that?
Until we pull it up. It's Revelation chapter 1 and verse number 18, and it reads, it says, I am he that liveth and was dead. Right? Talking about Yahushua. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Right? Amen. And have the keys of hell and death. Now, this is not saying that the Lord has keys to a portal. The Lord has keys to another place, right, that no man knows about, or some type of dimension. It says, and have the keys of hell and death. Meaning the Lord has the power to kill you, and the Lord has the power to resurrect you from the grave. He has the keys of eternal, like to be able to resurrect you, right, forevermore, or to destroy you, right? I mean, you don't want to make things too deep. A lot of times people read something and they make it fivefold. You making it fourfold. You making it 20-fold, right? I mean, it's as simple as what the Lord said. This is a precept too. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16, and verse number 17. Right, Matthew 16 and 17. And Yahushua, and quick point, the Lord said in the book of 2 Corinthians, the 11th chapter, going into the simplicity of Yahushua. I mean, it should be an easy thing to understand the Lord. Even though the Lord deals with parables and dark, sayings. But if you're of the Lord, it should be easy and it should be simplistic to understand. Shouldn't be some in-depth thing where you're scratching your head and you're forcing yourself to accustom to a doctrine and or something somebody's saying. Should be easy because your spirit already knows these things. It's a refresher. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 16 and verse 17, right? It says, and Yahushua answered and said unto him, blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood have not revealed, right, it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee that thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. Right? So Peter is the stone. Right? Yahushua is the chief cornerstone. So upon the Lord, right, Peter is going to be the head of the church, and he's going to build the church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Meaning nothing's going to prevail against Peter, right, and the Lord establishing the church. Not even the gates of hell. Meaning not even men being put to death. The Lord had the power and did, as you read Acts and other accounts, to raise you from the dead. Not even death has the power against the church to prevail against it. Didn't Paul get bit by a venomous serpent? Weren't men in troublous situations? Right? Wasn't Peter locked up? Right? Certain men went through things, right, and suffered troublous things like the shipwreck, right, that Paul was on. Man, I mean, even now, how many times was, right, our life in dangerous situations where we could have died, that the Lord preserved us? Right? How many times did this happen? Right? Foreseen unevils, right, and the spiritual things that are going on in high places, right? Like you could read about Daniel, the 10th chapter. So nothing should be able to prevail against the church. That's not saying that the gate physically that doesn't exist underground can't prevail or stop the church being formed, because that makes no sense with the context, because hell from beneath is tortured realms and demonic creatures. That has nothing to do with what's happening upon earth. So this is a parallel to what the Lord was speaking about in Revelation, the 1st chapter, verse 18. Brothers, God.
I was gonna say, a lot of brothers move in a spirit of that Nicodemus spirit of just being ignorant of the simplicity in Yahweh Shai. I got a quick precept in John 3:3. Yahweh Shai answered and said unto me, it's like unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God. Nicodemus saith unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? So, I mean, him asking that question alone kind of proves, his knowledge in the Lord and in the truth, which is base. Not to say he's wicked, but his base is still on the level of milk. And of course, Yahweh is speaking, spiritually to the extent of submitting yourself, like I say in Matthew 18th chapter, and humbling yourself and subduing the things that you may have known in this world and coming to the knowledge of Christ humbly as a sheep. Because if you come as a sheep, the Lord's going to guide you all right. Simply, that's what it means to be born again. But Nicodemus asking that question, thinking it's like literal. I mean, he could have ran with that. He could have said, okay, and then ran with that and told another person, so you got to be born again. You got to find a way up with your mom's, private member. And sometimes that's what happens in the world of Israel today.
Right.
They hear certain things that are spiritual indeed, and they run with it. There was a case of somebody in real life that was trying to cut off their right hand because they read Matthew the 5th chapter, thinking it was quite literal. So, a lot of people mishandle this word, and when you mishandle it, you're going to hurt yourself, because this word is a sword. If you don't know how to hold a sword, best believe you're going to inflict some type of damage to yourself, but not only to yourself, but to others as well. I mean, that's what we're seeing today with the hell doctrine. With that, I yield.
That's right. That's right. That was a good analogy, Rick. That's right, man. Right now, I want to get this in Matthew 11. It's right, like Ariana said, you're going friendly fire, man. It's going to be friendly fire. This is Matthew chapter 11 and verse 23. This is what Yahweh Shah said, and thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee had been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. Okay, now where's the account of an entire city? The buildings, the people, the beast, the roads, the lights, the food, the infrastructure, bridges. So that means this entire city. So hold on. I got a lot I'm thinking about. So if hell is going to be opened up on the day of judgment, Capernaum must be reserved, that this ancient city must be reserved until the day of judgment. Somewhere the buildings, the infrastructure, right? Like we said, the people. He said the whole city is going to be brought down to hell. He didn't just say the people. He said the city. They must have been in heaven. Then the Lord going to tie the rope and bring them down to hell. Now, what happened to Capernaum? If you pull up Let's see if we can find this. The ruins of Capernaum. Right? Let's see if we can get this. Okay, ruins. Here's the ruins of Capernaum. Right? Now they do excavations for Capernaum, huh? Right? And Capernaum is still a place to this day. They have a Capernaum synagogue. Actually, better yet, let me go to images. Right? These are the ruins of Capernaum. But where is the fire? I thought the city was going to be brought to hell. Now, if you believe hell, you're saying that all of this rubble is going to go into an eternal place of judgment. And it's going to burn forever and ever. Right? Well, where's that at? In the scriptures, man. The Lord said they're going to be brought to hell, but Capernaum is still here. So that's why you have to get the understanding, like brothers are saying, man. It's just saying they're going to be brought to a lower state, right? And they're going to be destroyed and laid down, and the wicked Jews are going to be killed with the sword, man, by the Romans, right? Another quick precept. This is Revelation, the 6th chapter, right? This is Revelation chapter 6 and 7. And when he had opened the 4th seal, I heard the voice of the 4th beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. And power was given unto him, it's like unto them, over the 4th part of the earth, to kill with sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the earth. So where's the account of hell getting up and following death, and hell got a sword in his hand, killing people with hunger and death, and the sword and the beast? Where is that at? Well, if hell is an actual place, then hell must be getting up and following death, and they must have a 2-back horse, or they must be the horse night riders, man. No, it's just talking about the grave. You're going to die, then get sent to the grave. That is, like brothers keep saying, and I'm going to say it again, or say it also, this is the simplicity of Yahweh Shai, man. Right? All you have to do is stick to the fundamental breakdowns of the law and the scriptures, right? And you won't have no trouble when you get to Revelation. But if you're not rooted in the law, a lot of revelation is in the law. You speak of the temple and the ark of the testimony and the bowls. There's a lot of eschatological, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, terminology in Revelation, but it also goes back to the law, right? But brothers got it.
I was going to make a quick point, and I would just want to say it straight up and down in case there's still any type of confusion. You can't believe in a physical realm or world where you're going to be tormented forever and also believe in a resurrection. Right. You can't believe in the two. It can't be done. Back in the day, in Mark the 12th chapter, that's what the Pharisees and Sadducees were saying, or believe just the Sadducees. The Sadducees, they don't believe in hell. They don't believe in the angels or anything of that nature, or anything spiritual, really, right? And I'm bringing this out to say this. They asked Yahweh Shai, oh, you got it, 23 and 12 and said 23. Oh, yeah, that's the precept. The Sadducees say there is no resurrection, neither angels nor spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. So, yeah, they don't believe in a resurrection. I was going to get Mark 12 and 24 real quick. 23. In the resurrection, therefore, when they shall arise, whose wife shall she be of them? For 7 had her to wife. So they're asking about the resurrection, not really truly understanding the resurrection. They're trying to confound Yahweh Shai. And it says in verse 24, and Yahweh Shai answering said unto them, do ye not therefore err? It's like, do ye not therefore err, because ye know not the scriptures, neither the power of God? For when they shall rise from the dead, right? Because that's what the resurrection is. You're rising from the dead, right? They neither marry nor are given into marriage, but are as the angels which are in heaven. And as touching the dead, that they rise, have ye not read in the book of Moses, how in the bush God spake unto them, saying, I am the God of Abraham and the God of Jacob. It's like Isaac and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but the God of the living. Therefore do ye greatly err. So you got to know, you got to go back to the basics and understand what resurrection is, right? What death is, what happens after death, right? With the basic milk and fundamentals is going to help you understand, right, a lot of things in the scriptures. And it's also going to guide you to understand that there's no such thing as hell. It can't be. It just can't be. Because again, if you believe if you believe in hell and resurrection, the two the two concepts conflict. They clash. You know, if that makes sense. That I yield.
Calm. And I want to bring this out too in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and verse 49. Right, to land me back on the brother's point, and or to add on top of that, right, you can't believe these things. It doesn't make sense at all. No type of level does it make sense. It's 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 49. It says, and two, how are you going to get to hell? What you going to take a chariot? Are you going to dig? I mean, how are you going to get there? Right? We know how we're going to leave this earth. It's not a secret. Right? Read the book of 1 Corinthians, the 15th chapter. We know how we're going to get, you understand, right? As we die, we go to the third heaven, our spirits, right? All of these things are mapped out and given to you. How are you going to get to hell? Good.
Yeah, quick point. Now that you said that, Enoch and Elijah were so righteous, the Most High took them up to the heavens. Now, if the Most High has a just balance, shouldn't it be somebody so wicked they should have just been straight to hell? Why suffer the righteous to be taken out the earth, out of the wicked, but not do a just balance and take the wicked from amongst the righteous? I mean, it's madness. But you got it.
Calm. So how in the world are you going to get to hell? Are you going to take a chariot? Right? I mean, are you going to go through you're going to have to add unto the word. Right? This 1 Corinthians chapter 15 and 49. And as we have borne the image of the earthly, right? We born the image of the earth. A lot of brothers, they've been doing things they're ashamed of, right? They've been in sin. A lot of people smoke cigarettes, weed, did drugs, fornication, right? The earthly are the carnal. That's the image of this world. We have also bear the image of the heavenly, right? Meaning of Yahushua, where we go through one body unto the next body. One body, and as far as your mind spiritually, to a new mind, right? And a new spirit, right? So you have to see what Paul is making a parallel going into. You have an earthly body. So if you're a wicked man, right, and you do all type of murders, unjust dealings, robbery, rape, right, and lewdness and drunkenness, and you're going to go to a place where seemingly you will have to have an immortal body to burn forever, you will have to take on the image of the heavenly. You cannot take on the image of the earthly and have the earthly body, but somehow have an immortal body in hell. Verse 50. Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God. Neither doeth corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I shew you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye at the last trump, for the trump shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible. We shall be changed. So we're going to be changed. Somebody got to explain verse 53. For this corruptible must put on incorruption. So if you're corruptible and you should be going to hell, how can you be able to be tortured? Right? Brothers can't even get bit by a damn dog, man. You make it an infection. Right? You can't even get bit by a snake. You're telling me I'm going to get tortured forever? I'm going to get tortured for 1,000 years or whatever the fable is? That sounds like madness. When you can't even damn get jumped, man. Or suffer a fight on your way home. You got to go to the doctors. You got a broken rib, internal bleeding. You're supposed to have me to believe there are 17-foot damn organs. What are they called?
Orchids.
Damn orchids, man. To torture you. right? It says this is corruptible, must put on corruption. So like an incorruption. And this mortal must put on immortality. And that's the spirit, right, that the elect is going to put on, man. Right? So you have to read the scriptures as it is written. Like the Lord said, the simple believeth every word. So you don't want to believe every word, right, that's spoken to you. Brothers, guys.
Con. And I want to, y'all done yes, I want to bring something out real quick.
Wow.
Okay, now I wanted to bring this out too because, you know who else believes in hell, right? Islam, right?
Islam. Oh, con.
Islam believes in hell, right? So the wisdom of the Islam, they got the beard right, and they got pork, and they got hell right. Evidently, the 7 gates of hell in Islam, right? Now, if you know Islam ultimately it really goes back to the Roman Catholic Church. A lot of it, man. Right? They have a lot of similarities of the Roman Catholic Church amongst rosary beads, the virgin birth, and many other such things as Islam believe in. Right? Now, there's something in Islam called Gehenna, also known as the gates of hell in Islam. Now, I thought this truth was pure and holy and sanctified, but yet Islam, they believe in the hell. Right? Now, check this out. Jahannam or hell is a place made by Allah. Right? Allah is a joke. Right? You got Muslims, they hot, they mad. Right? Allah is a joke to punish evildoers in the afterlife. The concept, and they got this from Greek mythology, man. Where Orcus, Orcus, man. What was that place? Targatum? What was that? Tartarus. Yeah, Tartarus is the deepest region, the lower of the 2 parts of the underworld, where God locked up. That's the word, incarcerated. This stuff is hilarious, man. I mean, it's a wicked doctrine, but it's like reading about Jack and the Beanstalk. You know, you believe in hell, you believe in the Green Giant, right? Or John Henry, who went toe to toe with a locomotive, right? This stuff is madness. So the Most High locks up his enemies. Now that Islam hell goes back to Tartarus. Now let's pull this back up, right? The concept of levels in Jahannam is based on the weight of the sins committed by the sinner. So you got level 1 sinners, you bad, you go to level 1. If you're a really bad guy, you go to level 2. Maybe you committed murder, maybe you're like level 5. But maybe you're a child molester, pedophile, you curse so-called Allah. For the real evil men, they get to level 7. Where is that at, huh? That's ridiculous. Muslims believe that there are 7 now, if you're a Muslim, you can say, well, no, that's wrong. We don't believe that. And we'll say, okay, well, look, we made that up. But it's out here for now, right? Muslims believe that there are 7 levels of Jahannam, just like the 7 levels of heaven. And where is that at? These are also referred to as the gates of hell and are associated with different kinds of punishments that are both physical and spiritual in nature. Because why Islam and the Roman Catholic Church, they go hand in hand, right? And we can go on, we can prove that as well. I'm gonna read this last one. Look at this, listen to this badness. Prophet Muhammad, right? And he's not a prophet, so-called prophet Muhammad. We're not going to read that part. Wickedness and destruction be upon him, right? Is the false prophet of Allah, so-called Allah. I can hear Muslims getting hot right now watching this. And it is said that his people who are Muslims will be sent to Jannah after finishing their punishments. It is believed that in the afterlife, no one dies. And when a human/jinn burn to ashes in Jahannam, this is madness. They will be returned to the healthy form and will be punished in the same way again. This cycle this cycle will go on until Allah forgives them. Well, where's that at, man?
That's freaky.
Yeah, where's that at in the scriptures?
That's freaky.
You know? Now check this out. I'm gonna jump down. This punishment in hell is endless for non-believers and backbiters. Right? But what about adulterers? Right? And sodomites. You know, while for Muslims, the punishment depends on the sins committed by them. Well, that's respect the persons. That's a respect the persons. The Muslims, they get a different punishment than backbiters. Right? Let's read on. When the hell was created by Allah, and we need that account when he created it, he kept the scorching fire burning in Gehenna for 1,000 years. Right? The fire in Gehenna is 70 times more harmful than worldly fire. Right? Also, snakes and lizards are there. Right? In Gehenna, you're given pus and blood and boiling water. You can drink from a tree called Zaquam, and it has thorns and branches to eat. So this, this is ridiculous, man. Right? This is madness. Now, you know who else believes in hell? Hindus. Right? They have the nine types of hell. Right? 9 types of narakas or hells as per due Hindu religion. Now, if you're a Hindu, you can take that red dot off your forehead and call us a liar. Right? Now, if you say, well, we don't believe in that, we'll take it down. We'll take the whole video down. Take the whole video down. Right? But we're going to keep it up for now. Now, let's check this out. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But in Hinduism, the concept of afterlife involves various realms of existence, including heavens and hell. Hell, or Narak, as is known in Hinduism, is a representation of the negative consequences of one's actions in life. Right? Jump down. While some mention 4 types of Naraka, others specify over 28. Here, we list 9 types of Narakas mentioned in Hindu words and who are subjected to each of them. So they got their different hells too, man. Right? So they got all these nations, the Egyptians, the Greeks, the Hindus, the Ishmaelites, they all believe in hell and that eternal fire of judgment because they're not of the Most High, man. They are not of the Most High, and that's why they believe in this man-made Egyptian Greek mythology, right? Narakas and Jahannam, and this is madness. But brothers got it.
Yeah, also, it's a thing called Dante's Inferno. Yep, they kind of go into that also, but they got the different levels of hell.
Got that.
You
right
had that pulled up, King? Yep. Right. And kind of go into that same type of madness and this damn tornado of sin, man. And as you go down, right, I'm not even sure what that bubble is.
I think that's where it's ice cold, if I remember correctly. That the bottom is ice.
Wow.
Yes, somebody could correct me if I'm wrong. Whoever follows Dante, you can get mad, put it on a comment board. No, it's this. And we'll say, okay, all right, well, you're right. But you got it.
Yeah, I'm going to pull this quick precept in Proverbs chapter 5 and verse number 3. For the lips of a strange woman drop as in honeycomb, and her mouth is smoother than oil. So, I mean, when you read the scriptures, you really have to really see the spirit of each one of these books. Okay, you got Deuteronomy. That's a physical account, even though there are spiritual things in Deuteronomy. But then you go to certain books, right, where you may go to Psalms, right? You may go to Isaiah, right? You may go to Revelation. You may go to these different books. You have to see that they're deeper, right, than a physical account, right? They're double fold. And you have to have the sense of discernment to be able to betwixt from it, or else you're going to be jammed up, man. It says, for the lips of a strange woman, right? That strange woman is really talking about America because we don't know her, right? It says, drops as in honeycomb, meaning it's sweet. Just like she spake as a lamb, right? But inwardly she's a dragon, paraphrasing greatly. The book of Revelation, the 13th chapter, right? Her mouth is smoother than oil. right? I mean, the things that she say, right? Vote here or go there, the political parties, right? Freedom and justice for all. That's the oil and the slickness that she may think that we all are one nation and we become equal. But her end is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. And if you follow America and this strange woman, you're going to go down to death. Her steps take hold on hell. Right. So, I mean, literally the steps just take hold on the grave. And in any and everywhere you follow America, you're following it to the source where you're going to be put to death. There's nothing that's bright in this land and or where you can go where you're going to find help, refuge, or salvation. Because every foot that turns out of the path of the light of Yahweh is going to turn into the darkness. And a whore is a deep ditch, like the Lord said. So if you're turning out of the path, you're going to eventually fall into a ditch. And that whore is a deep ditch. And that ditch is really talking about a pit, man, a dead, where you put dead bodies. So if you fall out of this path, and as you read, like I say, you read Proverbs, these deep books, you got to see it deeper than what it's saying on the surface level. That's why you cannot read our King Yahweh's parables and read them physically, man. All of them beautiful red letters, you're just reading it carnally and physically.
Right.
A physical man, and it was a physical place, and no, everything isn't physical. That's why the Lord speaks in parables, right? I'm gonna get this quick precept, and then brothers got it in Matthew the 13th chapter, right in verse 10, the classic. Because what would make the Lord so I would say deep and or hard to understand if he just walked around speaking plain things? It says, and the disciples came and said unto him, why speakest thou unto them in parables? So even his disciples was like, why are you getting so deep? Why are you speaking things that they can't just get and understand? He answered and said unto him, so like unto them, because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. So when you go to Luke, the 16th chapter, and go to the parable of Lazarus and the rich man and different things like that, and you see all of those red letters, you can't possibly just read it as it is, plain in context, and think that it's going to give you the understanding that it's saying on a surface level. Just like you may see something, but then you have to keep digging and keep digging so you can get to what it's really saying. Because on a surface level, it's meant to confuse you and or to trip up men that are not chosen of the Lord. So the Lord gives you that understanding to really deep down into it, to really uncover the mysteries, right, that are in the parables. Brothers, guys.
That's a good point. It says in let me back off that in Matthew chapter 21, verse 44. And whosoever shall fall on this stone shall be broken, but on whomsoever it shall fall, it will grind him to powder. And when the chief priests and Pharisees had heard this parable, they perceived that he spake of them. Because Yahweh is that stone. This is touching on the stone that the builders refused, right? The builders are still here on this earth today, right? And they're still refusing Yahweh, right? You can't accept Yahweh and believe in him and then kind of just not believe in his portion or not believe in what he said here, right? Or even misunderstanding is a form of disbelief. This is Psalm chapter 111, verse 5. He hath given meat unto them that fear him. He will ever be mindful of his covenant. Now, this in itself is spiritual. The Lord is not talking about he's going to grant you a T-bone or a sirloin or a New York strip or any other type of prepared type of steak or meat for you if you fear him. This is spiritual meat. This could be a certain will or task that the Lord may ask of you. This could also be referring to more wisdom and knowledge. Meat in itself is deep within the Bible. Like a lot of other certain books, not to compare it to the Bible, but just to parallel, you'll find certain words because repeated throughout the book because it fits the theme of that book, right? Meat has a certain theme, right? It represents knowledge or wisdom. within the scriptures. Milk is a recurring theme. It represents light knowledge, right? So when Israel picks up this Bible, they have a hard time. They wrestle with it, and we end up with doctrines and topics like this, right? Where we have to kind of correct it and edify Israel to let them know that there is no such thing as hell.
And I wanted to play this quick clip real quick. Now this clip we about to play, it's about 30. We'll play the first maybe 30 seconds. This is a clip of a Roman Catholic priest. Now he's actually admitting that this entire concept of hell was made up to put fear in the heart of the people. It was made up to put fear in the minds of the people. If you don't pay your money, right? If you don't come to church, we'll excommunicate you. And a lot of people fear what they call excommunication. People really believe that if you didn't pay the Roman Catholic Church, they could excommunicate you, meaning you have no relationship with the Most High. That's the same spirit when brothers say, well, if you're not in our camp, then you out the truth. You're cut off. You're excommunicated. You got to come through us to come to the Most High. That's what the Roman Catholic Church taught. You're excommunicated from God, and you're going to go to hell. This eternal fire of judgment they got from the Greeks and the Egyptians. So he's going to admit, now I don't know this guy. We didn't pay this man. Right now, we don't know what happened to this man after he put this out there, but he's about to tell you something. Right? So we're going to play maybe the first 30 seconds. I believe it's in the first maybe 30, 40 seconds. You know?
I don't think hell exists.
Can brothers hear this?
I happen to believe in life after death.
Okay, Con, I'm going to rewind it.
I don't think hell exists. I happen to believe in life after death, but
now he said he don't think hell exists. Now he's a Catholic priest, man. He's a pedophile, and he set up to learn this stuff.
I don't think hell exists. I happen to believe in life after death, but I don't think it's got a thing to do with reward and punishment. Religion is always in the control business, and that's something people don't really understand. It's in the guilt-producing control business. And if you have heaven as a place where you're rewarded for your goodness and hell as a place where you're punished for your evil, then you sort of have control of the population.
And a quick point, that's what Christianity teaches, right? You got to pay the church and so you can go to heaven. So when you die, you have live your life according to the will of the church. So when you die, you can go to heaven. They don't teach that heaven's on the earth for the living. The precept Yaradan brought up in Mark 12, God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. That's not something that's pushed in the church. They push you gotta die, and then you can go to heaven, or you die and you go to hell. And that is for control, primarily for money and filthy lucre's sake. A lot of old ladies and people, if I don't pay my tithes, I'm gonna go to hell. Right? If I don't do this, then when I die, I might not go to heaven. That's all madness. So let's play that again.
Punished for your evil, then you sort of have control of the population. And so they create this fiery place, which has quite literally scared the hell out of a lot of people.
Right. Now, another quick point. If Christianity and Catholicism that taught hell was the truth, why do these elites allow it to be put out there? Right? If that was the truth and part of sound doctrine kept secret from the foundation of the world, why would the elites not try to hide it or conceal it? Right? The truth is concealed. Right? That our nationality, our heritage, the understanding, the trueness of the scriptures. But hell has always been out there. But so how could that be the truth? It wasn't kept secret from the foundation of the world. It wasn't given after 3 days and a half. That has been here while the saints slept,
Quick point too, right? To add on top of that, when is the white man ever spoke the truth? When has he ever said anything that came out of these scriptures that was the truth? It's always been doctrine. It's never been the truth, Well, the brother wanted to. That's a good point to really look at it, because if it's going to be ran through their churches and tackled down by all of these programs that they have, right? By building these churches, these mega churches, they have to run it through a specific curriculum.
Right,
They're not going to allow you to have $1 million business, $1 million loan, $1 million church, right? All this right here, and not know what the hell is going on in that church, man. What you're teaching or what you're allowed to teach. Just like schools. When they put down the loans for these schools and start the construction for their buildings and all of these different things, they have to know what's going to be inside of those school systems taught, right? That's why they have these councils and these different meetings, right, collectively, so that they may know what books should be used for the school systems, what's the standard for college, all of these different things. So just like the Catholic Church, they came together as we go through all of these different councils, right? And then they pushed this narrative. This narrative was the truth, right? Then he wouldn't be speaking, right? You got it.
No, yeah. And that's the same thing. The councils, were they Council of Trent, Council of Rome, Council of Ephesus, right? All of these councils were set up by the church to push a particular narrative in the doctrine, right? So again, if this was the truth, why would this? And the Lord said in the precept I thought about was Matthew through the Spirit, Matthew 7:13 on down, right? For wide, greatly paraphrasing, for wide is the gate and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat, right? Everybody believes in that. Everybody believes when you die, you go to heaven. When you're wicked, you go to hell. That's the wide gate that leads to destruction. The Lord said, because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. So how the hell are you in the truth teaching something that the masses of the people believe in? It's absolute, just outright blasphemy. The few are going to understand the true doctrine and eventually come to the reality that the concept of heaven and hell are played out on the earth. These are conditions played out on the earth. This is the so-called white man's heaven. We're in hell. Jonah was in hell in a whale's belly for 3 days and 3 nights. We got to go to so-called work tomorrow, and that's hell. Brothers got mortgages and bills and rent and all types. This is hell, man. Physical pain and infirmities and getting beat and God knows what. This is hell, man. And this is this man's heaven. So let's see what this guy, this demon has to say.
And so they create this fiery place, which is quite literally popular. You're punished for your evil, then you sort of have control of the population. And so they create this fiery place, which has quite literally scared the hell out of a lot of people throughout Christian history. Mm-hmm. And it's part of a control tactic.
But wait a minute, you're saying that hell, the idea of a place under the earth or somewhere where you're tormented for an eternity, is actually an invention of the church?
I think the church fired its furnaces hotter than anybody else. But I think there's a sense in most religious life of reward and punishment in some form. The church doesn't like for people to grow up, because you can't control grown-ups. That's why we talk about being born again. When you're born again, you're still a child. The people don't need to be born again. They need to grow up. They need to accept their responsibility for themselves and the world.
What do you make of the theology, which is quite prominent these days in America?
So he came out and said that, hey, hell is made up, man. Now we don't know what happened to this guy. But everybody know, even the scholars that put the dictionaries together, that put the workmanship and the craft, they know that, right? Who thoroughly do their research, they can trace it back to the Egyptians, to the Greeks, to even amongst the Jews, Gehenna, the Valley of Hinnom. It has never been used as an eternal place of fire and judgment unless you're some type of bugged out heathen, huh? Unless you're some heathen just waiting to be burnt, and people do that for control, or they get paid, or they're just strongly deceived in their mind, And if you start teaching that there's a hell, you're going to start teaching the virgin birth. You're going to start teaching you got to water baptized to be saved, and then you're going to start teaching that all nations can be saved. You're going to start teaching that we're not the Israelites. Then you're going to start teaching the name of the Lord. Then you're going to start teaching all types of madness, man. I mean, look at it, man. You know? And once you start going off, you down a slippery slope. You going downhill with no brakes, man. It's only a matter of time before you crash. Right, but brothers got it.
I was gonna say, you had a time period during the 11th century and 12th century. I was watching a video of it like a few days ago. It was called the investor controversy, right? The investor conversation. Damn, see that? You might have to Google.
You want me to pull it
You
up?
might Google it. Yeah, Barbara Kashar.
What is it?
Controversy.
Investor?
Yeah. Investiture. There it is. Investiture controversy. Right? A conflict between the church and the state in the medieval Europe over the ability to choose and install bishops and abbots of monasteries and the Pope himself. Now, King George, he allowed certain people to become Pope by buying their way, pretty much through money. And the purpose was quite literally for control. Because whatever the Pope, the bishops, the abbots would say, people will mindlessly follow. And this extends all the way down to this very day. I mean, look at it. Look at the Pope today. Just a few years ago, he said he literally has the authority to remove things from the Bible. He makes claims and speaks on the behalf of the Most High. And people listen. That's control. He teaches and just spews out doctrine contrary to the Bible. He has that ability. This was done all the way back in the day during the 12th century. So again, how much more wicked doctrines, throughout time.
Come. And I want to get this precept in Mark, right, chapter 9, and I'm gonna start at 42. And again, like I said, you got to be careful. It's sad that I have to say this, but you got to be careful when you see all of that red, because a lot of people just read it literally. And the Lord, he speaks in dark parables. So don't just read it and just leave it alone like, okay, this is what it's saying. You have to say, okay, well, I need a precept. What was the Lord saying? What did the Lord mean right here? Because oftentimes when the Lord would speak, like we keep bringing out, there were people around the multitudes, and he was only speaking to the elect. And whosoever shall offend one of these little ones that believe in me, it is better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and he were cast into the sea. So the Lord said it would be better if, somebody wrapped a millstone around your neck, right? And you were cast into the sea and you sunk down to the bottom. And if thy hand offend thee, cut it off. So the first one is exaggerated, right? Verse 43, it's not literal. You can't read all of this. It's exaggerated. The Lord likes to build up, right, that momentum as you read. It says, and if thy hand offend thee, cut it off, right? That would be afflicting pain upon thyself, right? Like the Lord said in the book of Song of Solomon. I'm going to just get it real fast. The first chapter, it says in verse number 12, seek not death in the era of your life, and pour not upon yourselves destruction with the work of your hands. So that would be a contradiction. You have one saying that cut your hand off, right, if it offends you. But in another context, it's saying don't bring upon yourself destruction with the work of your hands. That's how you know this isn't literal. This isn't literal as the Lord is speaking. It is better for thee to enter into life maimed than having two hands, right, to go into hell, right? I mean, it is better to cut off things that you may not want to cut off. You may not want to cut off your cousin, right? You may not want to cut off that habit, right? That demon that's hunting you. You may not want to cut these things off, but it's better to enter into maimed, you understand, or whatever the case may be, by all your offenses of the things that you had to cut off, right? Than to enter into hell, right, with two hands. Meaning nobody wants to be buried in peace and or have all your members. That's how the Lord's kind of like it, right? Are you going to go through hell and temptation, adversity, and make your body a living sacrifice, and spiritually not have a hand, and spiritually not have one ear, and spiritually make your body a living sacrifice, that in that day you may be resurrected with a new body and a new spirit? You understand? With a refreshing spirit. Like even the prophets and the sons, right, as you read Second Maccabees, right, paraphrasing greatly, they said, I am well, paraphrasing greatly, they said, you know what, we're well content to lose all of our members because we know we're going to get it in the resurrection. So they already know physically that they could lose all of their members, and that they were well content that in the resurrection they may gain all of the things that they have lost. And spiritually it's the same thing. It says, into the fire that shall, Salakia, that never shall be quenched. We know that that's not literal, because when you go into the Greek and the etymology for that word, you have literal and then you have figuratively. Don't skip past in the etymology when you see figuratively, because you have a death that's literal, then you have a death that's figural, right? Every death is not physical, right? You mind pulling that, hitting that fire, King, since you already there? Right, and we want to go into that word fire, right? That shall never be quenched. And a lot of brothers will read this and say, see, it's talking about hell. Right, so it says right here, pour a primitive word, fire, literal or figuratively. So every single time you see the word fire in the scriptures, it's not literal. You know, I'm sorry that, you know, kind of, it is what it is, man. Right, so when you want to dive into things, don't make it convenient to use the etymology. When you want to use it and understand that, okay, I have to see the context, I have to be in the spirit, and I have to see the etymology of that word. So when you're diving into understanding what the Lord is saying, you can't just take everything literal when there's a figurative meaning, right? You can go back to a Baba Kashar. Right, it says, going back to it, verse 44, where their worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. Right, now we know that that's not literal, right, as we're going into what that means. When the worm dieth not, you can link that up with Job, the 17th chapter, right, going down to the bars of the pit and going down into hell and going into the worm, right? Right, it's the book of Job, chapter 17, right, in verse number 13. If I wait, the grave is mine house. I have made my bed in the darkness. I have said to corruption, thou art my father. To the worm, thou art my mother and sister. Because what do worms and maggots do? They feed on dead bodies. Right, you have certain creatures that the Lord has created, right, to clean the earth. You have pigs, flies, roaches, rats, worms, maggots. These creatures of falcons, damn vultures, eagles, right? These are scavengers and animal-like beasts, dogs, right? They eat on dead things. The worm eats on a dead body under the earth. It says, to the worm thou art thy mother and my sister. And where now is my hope? As for my hope, who shall see it? They shall go down to the bars of the pit. That's why the Lord said the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Gates and bars is going into the same thing. When our rest together is in the dust. So these, like I brought out a lot of controversy precepts that a lot of brothers like to go to that justify hell, but you got to go to the precepts to understand what that's talking about. Brothers got it.
Yeah, quick point. I mean, I've never seen a worm. Now you said, well, the Most High got a secret worm that's immortal. Where's this immortal worm at that doesn't die? that could just dwell in a fire. It's just, you know, getting off, man, as the fire's burning. There's no worm that just doesn't die. Right? Like the brothers, I mean, the Most High deals with exaggeration, hyperbolic talk. A lot of things are hyperboles, man. Forever and ever, worm dieth not, fire quenched. The Lord said in the book of Jude, let me get this real quick. Right? This is Jude 1 and verse, it's like 7. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering, that's present tense. I mean, at the time of Jude, he didn't say suffered or will suffer. He said suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. Did they literally were on fire forever and ever? No. That means right now you could buy a one-way ticket to Sodom and Gomorrah, and you will see these fire, and the tour guide on the plane would say, look, now we're approaching Sodom. Everybody put on your fire suits. It's going to be very hot. Then people taking out their pictures of binoculars, ooh and ah, and you know that would be a number one attraction on the earth, man. Did you go to Sodom? Did you see the fire? All right, it's still there. You got people that's going to try to put it out, little kids going there and trying to, you know, do a party at Sodom, a bonfire, and that would be a big deal on the earth, man. Right? But there is no eternal fire. Eternal doesn't always mean eternal. Forever and ever doesn't always mean forever and ever. That's why discernment is key, right? Discernment is key. And I wanted to get this as well, right? Speaking of controversial hell scriptures, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to just read Luke 16 to 23. I'll start at 22. This is the rich man and Lazarus. And it came to pass that the beggar died and was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. Remember, this is a parable. You don't take it literal. You're not going to have angels die and they lay he's just holding Abraham like this. No, Abraham's bosom represents the kingdom, right? A place of comfort, right? The rich man died and was buried. Let's see what happened now. And in hell, he lifted up his eyes, being in torment, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. How is he able to see Abraham if he's in hell, right? And Lazarus, man, afar off. This is not literal. He's not in a literal place called hell. I thought in Zechariah 14 it says, your eyes consume away in your holes, and your tongue melt in your mouth when that fire comes in Zechariah 14 and 12. Then for you to die and be thrown in another place called hell where you can see. It's ridiculous. Right? Let me read on. This stuff is, you lose loss of words half the time when you think about the madness. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, so he could talk in hell. How are you tormented, but yet you could talk? If you're being tormented with fire and brimstone, how can you formulate a sentence and talk? How could it makes no sense? You're being tormented. You don't have time to talk and gather your thoughts together and communicate to get out of this thing. Father Abraham, go ahead, King.
Yeah, I was about to say that's a mean point because he's very articulate in his parable.
Yeah,
you can't articulate your words,
right?
In the pain, man. Right, but you got it.
Yeah, he putting this thing together, man. He said, have mercy on me and send Lazarus that he may send the dip. It's like that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. Right? Is this literal? You know, just take a little dip, tip it, and then put it on my tongue. That's not going to help you, man.
Right.
Well, it's not going to do anything. See this how you know it's talking about the so-called white man. Because where's the repentance? Where's the apology? Where's the salakia for how I treated Lazarus? It's the same spirit that Cain had. When Cain said, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Thou hast this day driven me off from the face of the earth. A fugitive and a vagabond shall I be, and from thy face shall I be hid. He didn't say, salakia, I murdered Cain and I lied about it. He's looking to get out of that thing. Same thing Esau did. Hast thou for one blessing, bless me, even me also. Esau didn't say that he didn't tell Isaac he gave up his birthright, man. He hid that. See, this damn devil, he be on a court on a stage, like that dude Kyle, what's his name? Kyle Rittenhouse, sitting up there crying, man. I shot the people out of there. There's no apology, no mercy for the so-called white man, because he doesn't show mercy. Even the Lord is letting you know he won't even show mercy even in the afterlife, right? Even when he's resurrected. So his judgment is fit. He's begging for mercy, but he's not repenting, right? Have mercy on me and send Lazarus. And that's wicked, man. That's wicked. You were just torturing Lazarus in the land of the living. Send Lazarus like he's still a slave. He's still, send him back to me. He's still a nigga. See, the so-called white man, you'll always be a nigga to him, man. You'll always be a spick and a wetback and a coon to him, man. You'll never be, even in the place of the kingdom, in the place of comfort, this devil, he's still going to look at you some kind of way, man. That's why they got to get burnt up. You think they're going to be in the kingdom apologizing? No, they still gonna have this mentality, man. They might tell you to come here in the kingdom. You know, send Lazarus. This is madness, man. Right? That he may dip the tip of his finger in the water. That's some slave stuff. You know, that's some, okay, let me put my feet on your stomach kind of deal, man, and warm my feet up. And cool my tongue, for I am tormented in his flame. And it's really just going into hell in his. It's a parable speaking about the so-called white man in the resurrection and even in captivity and slavery, not repenting, right? Not repenting and not receiving mercy from the Most High. Rather, he's in captivity and rather he's resurrected. But Abraham said, son, remember that thou in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed. Yeah, like it says in Esther, there are two lots, one for the people of God and another for the Gentiles. And you can't interchange those lots, right? A great gulf fixed, so that they which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that will come from thence. Then he said, I pray thee, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. He's still just pushing that Lazarus is still my slave, man.
Begging.
Yeah, just wicked, right? For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify to them, lest they also come to this place of torment, right? And this is him trying to get out that judgment. That's that same lifting up your voice and wept, same trying to get out of your judgment spirit, you know? Abraham saith unto him, they have Moses and the prophets, let them hear them. And he said, nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And they won't repent, right? Because they can't. And he said unto him, if they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead. So the point is, he's not in the actual place called hell talking to Abraham, right? That's the point. Brothers got it.
I want to say, can you pull up the definition of parable? While you're getting that, I'm going to bring out Sirach chapter 17, verse 5. They received the use of the 5 operations of the Lord, and in the 6th place, he imparted them understanding, and in the 7th place, speech and interpretation of the coagitations thereof, or it means the meditation thereof. Counsel in the tongue and eyes, it's like your ears and our heart, gave he them to understand. So if you pull up the definition of parable, you'll simply see that it's nothing but an allegory or a moral story. Or within every parable within the Bible, it's a moral of the story, simply, right? But within those allegories, within the moral, it's like within the parables, you're going to find literary devices, as Esau may refer to it. Right? Esau places terms on everything. He may call it a literary device, such as euphemism, epigraph, metaphors, allegories, so on and so forth, right? And so you're going to find that in the Bible. And when you find those literary devices, I mean, it's not always to be taken literal, right? But because people do, they fall short, right? When you fall short in something so simple, it's going to turn out very big and hurt a lot of people. I want to get something real quick as well. Oh yeah, now we passed that. So that's all I really wanted to bring out. There's a moral of the story within these parables, and it's not to be taken literal. Just to help Jake understand that, you got to use wisdom when you read these parables. And a parable is meant to confound people. It's meant to. If it wasn't, then he would have said it plainly. He would have said it straight up and down.
That's right. That's right. Brothers, have anything else?
Nah.
Kind of. So, I mean, the spirit had to succeed the time, man. So if you don't get off the live and say, well, I don't know, I might go to hell. Right? Oh, damn, I don't know, man. I'm gonna burn forever and ever. I think, boy, if I don't really get this right, I'm gonna be in the lowest hell. I'm gonna be in the lowest hell or the lower hell. Orcus. Orcus. Right? Stop dwelling on Orcus. Brother's gonna have nightmares. Orcus. And they're gonna wake up them in cold sweats, man. Right? You can't fear Orcus. Hades. Like from brothers, remember the movie Hercules back in the day when he was a kid? Yeah, Hades with the blue hair, and he's sitting on the throne with his damn sandals on and all black, talking stuff, man.
2 Goyles.
Yeah, he got his two pain and panic. He had his little demons with him, man. And we don't fear that, man. We're not looking for that, man. That's some demonic Edomite you're being taught. And again, we put a lot of questions out there, right? Who has dominion over hell? Who's over that? Right? Is Yahushua also over hell too? Right? And they're just burning up forever and ever and ever. And they never stop. Just burning and burning and burning. Right? That's off, man. Right, brothers got it.
Con, I got one more quick point going into that. I was just thinking about it. Just making a quick parallel. Right, it's the mighty book of 1 Kings, chapter 22, and verse. I'm gonna start at 19. And he said, "Hear thou therefore the word of the Lord. I saw the Lord sitting on his throne, and all the host of heaven standing by him on his right hand and on his left." So in the third heaven, right, the world calls it demons and devils, but the Lord just calls it evil spirits. There are spirits that the Lord has created, right, that dwell in heaven, that are sent down to earth to kill, to destroy, for volcanoes, windstorms, right, all manner of mischief, and they dwell in the third heaven. They don't dwell underground. If that were to be the case, shouldn't it be written, "I saw all of the host of heaven standing on the right hand of the Most High, and there is no left hand"? What's the point of the left hand angels being in the third heaven if the left hand angels with mythology and witchcraft and folklore and Jewish fables are underground somewhere? That makes no sense.
Right.
Right. So why are what the world would call devils, right, what the scriptures call evil angels, right, so like evil spirits standing on the left hand of the Most High? Right? That makes no sense. It says this, "And the Lord said, who shall persuade Ahab that he may go up and fall at Ramoth Gilead? And one said on this manner, and another said on that manner. And there came forth a spirit and stood before the Lord and said, I will persuade him." It's the point. "And the Lord said unto him, wherewith? And he said, I will go forth, and I will be a lying spirit." I thought all lies and different things are to not be in the third heaven. You don't know what's going on, man. Things are too high for man to understand and perceive. That's why when you read 2 Corinthians, right? The 12th chapter, when you actually go into that, Paul said he heard unspeakable, whether in the body or out of the body, I can't tell. Such a one caught up into the third heaven and heard unspeakable things which are not lawful for man to utter, paraphrase. Right? So there's certain things that are past any man's understanding of what's going on in the third heaven, man. Right? The Lord said, out of the mouth of God proceedeth not good and evil. Right? So, I mean, the Lord speaks evil and the Lord speaks good. So don't let the Christianity and the lies corrupt your mind, and you bring that old wine into the truth with this new wine. It says, and I'll be a lying spirit in the mouth of all his prophets. And he said, thou shalt persuade him, prevail also, go forth and do so. Now, therefore, behold, the Lord hath put a lying spirit in the mouth of all these thy prophets, and the Lord had spoken evil concerning thee. Right? So, I mean, that contradicts the whole devils and ghouls and demons being in an underground place when evil spirits are in the third heaven, waiting and trembling to give order, so like it have received order from the Most High. Brother God.
And I want to get this quick precept. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 6 and 1. Now, he's about to give an account of everything that was created. Right? Let's see if he says some fiery place called hell. And he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood. So this is before Genesis 1 and 1. Or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, just before spirits were created, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, before Michael was made, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, right? Or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, just before the firmament was created, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, or ever the present years were sought out, just before time, and or ever the inventions of them that now sin were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered faith for a treasure, even the elect. Then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone, and through none other. By me also they should be ended, and by none other. Now, where is hell? He said paradise. Before paradise was laid, flowers, before time, but he never said before hell, before I made hell. How come he didn't mention the hell right after paradise? How could the Lord leave that out? He literally listed everything before Genesis 1 and 1 was made. But yet now hell just snuck on the scene. Right? But it's madness, man. Right? It's madness. Right? I just wanted to bring that up.
God. Brothers had anything else before I pull out this closing precept? Okay, calm. All right, I'm going to pour this up through the spirit. Go to the mighty book of Revelation, chapter 3, in verse number 2. Right? And it reads, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before God. Right? So no matter how much reading and fasting and praying you do, there's always room for improvement. You don't want to feel like you've reached some type of level in this truth. You don't have to go as hard as you did yesterday, because that's the mind frame of going nowhere but down. You want to go nowhere but up. You want to strengthen yourself up through the spirit and these precepts to go stronger and stronger. Right? You got to remember, you have to excel in this thing. This is a race, and you got to continue on that same pace, right? And go harder in the last days, because once you start to withdraw yourself, right, that's just the level and the signs of you falling out the truth. The Lord said, yet but a little sleep, a little folding of the hands, a slumber, right? Then soon cometh poverty, paraphrasing greatly, right? In the book of Proverbs, chapter 24, verse 30, all the way down. So you got to remember that. Remember, therefore, how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, right? This is going to be your destruction if you don't watch. I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon you. Right? So the Lord requires perfection, and the Lord requires you to keep, right, that sound doctrine that he is giving you from the very first moment you bear witness to this truth. Not to be given to change, not to be overthrown, right? Not to increase in fables and increase in doctrines, but increase, right, in the doctrine that the Lord gave you. Right? So you want to stay strong in the truth, right, and diligent. Come on, brothers, God.
And this is Luke chapter 7, verse 44. And he turned to the woman and said unto Simon, seest thou this woman? I entered into thine house. Thou gavest me no water for my feet, but she hath washed my feet with tears and wiped them with the hairs of her head. Thou gavest me no kiss, but this woman, since the time I came in, hath not ceased to kiss my feet. Mine head with oil thou didst not anoint, but this woman anointed my feet with ointment. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much, but to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. I want to expound upon the point that the moment Yahushua walked in, she began to do the work, and she didn't stop, and she didn't rest. She made her body a living sacrifice continually. He said from the moment he came in, right? It's like from the moment he came in, I mean, she was doing the work. I entered into thine house, I gave you no water. But when she came in, it's like, but when he came in, again, she kissed his feet, made sure he was thirsty. It's like, made sure he had water, made sure he had everything, right? In other words, it translates to doing the work of the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai. You have to ask yourself, did my works increase as this woman, or did it decrease? Because I got lazier, I got complacent, I got tired. She didn't stop. She didn't want to stop. Some brothers may want to stop. I'm tired, I'm throwing the towel. My body got a little weak. I had a rough day. Good game. It's over. You got to constantly want to glorify the name of the Lord. It's like it glorify the name of the Lord. There's always so much more work that can be done through the Spirit. But with that, I yield.
Khan, that's right. That's right. Now I want to get to Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12, right? The classic. This Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So we got a lot of work we have to do, man, right? And the Most High is going to reward you. And every reward isn't eternal life. There are rewards for judgment, man. We've been going into it all day. Fire and brimstone. That's also a reward according to your work. And if your works are evil and unclean, and your hands are filthy, and your mind is defiled, and you're completely out of order, and not keeping the law, statutes, and the commandments, or not doing the work of the Most High, whatever your talents and your gifts are, if you're suppressing them, if you're slothful, those are also worthy of a fitting reward, man. Right? And that reward is going to be judgment by destruction and fire and brimstone, right? And all of the precepts we read about fire and pain and worms, that's also a reward, but it's for the wicked. There's a reward for the righteous, immortality and everlasting life, right? So you have to look at the time you're living in, man. You're in a time of great judgment. You're in a time that this place can go down any minute. So you want to magnify your talents and your works as much as you can in the last days. Pray for mercy. Pray that the Most High don't take the Holy Spirit away from you, right? And keep this thing going, because we at the end of this thing, right? So with that, we're going to close up. Giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Mashiach Kumalak Bashai. We're going to hold questions. We'll do Q&As on the cold cuts throughout the week. Look out for those if you have questions. You can always email as well at watchmanforisrael77@gmail.com. Brother Naquam.
Shalom, brother. Right.
Shalom, brother Yardan.
Kwam Yasha. Shalom.